Good morning, DJ and PK. It's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Welcome in on a Tuesday morning. A busy night in sports as the BYU Cougars lose at home to Arizona, although that hardly tells the story of that wild ride. Super competitive game for 15 minutes. Thought it was going to be great. Then Arizona takes over, builds a 19-point lead, blows it. It goes down to 1, and Rob Wright has the ball and a chance to get the go-ahead bucket, and he gets a shot block from behind in the middle of the lane. BYU has to foul, and they end up losing by 3. We'll get to the post-game reaction from that wild ride in a minute, but also last night, the Utah Mammoth, who had been almost perfect in their last 9 games, only dropped 1 point out of a possible 18. It had been an amazing stretch, but that streak ends with a 2-0 loss in Tampa. Here's the best of the Mammoth post-game show.
DJ and PK, the Utah Mammoth fell 2-0 in Tampa Bay on Monday night as their 9-game unbeaten streak comes to an end at the same time as their 5-game winning streak is also snapped by the other hottest team in the NHL. Tampa Bay Lightning now 15-1-1 in their last 17. Utah now 8-1-1 in their last 10. In a battle of the 2 top goaltenders in the NHL, Karel Vejmelka leading the league with 25 wins. Andrei Vasilevskiy now has 23 wins after turning aside all 28 shots that he saw from Utah. The analytics said Utah was expected to have over 4 goals in that game, but Tampa Bay blocked 20 shots, and Vasilevskiy was huge, stopping Dylan Guenther in the first period, forcing Guenther to miss the net, hit the pipe, forcing Carconi to pop it off his shoulder, trying to go over the top to get Utah on the board late in the second, and denying Clayton Keller on a breakaway in the third period. Utah had their chances, had some power plays, had some good looks, but Tampa able to pop in a couple power play goals in a game that didn't see any scoring until the final 3 minutes of the second, and then it was 1-0 until the final minute of the third when Tampa Bay scored a power play goal. So Utah will move on to Sunrise and take on the defending Stanley Cup champions tonight as Game 3 of this 4-game road trip will take him into the matchup against the Panthers for the second time this year. We'll be on the air with Hockey Night in Utah at 4 here on 97.5 and 1280, the KSL Sports Zone. Puck drops at 5, and then at 7, when the Jazz pregame comes on with Jake at the coach Tim Lacombe, will be only on AM 1280 as Jazz and the Clippers get ready for their 8 p.m. face-off. So 97.5 and 1280, along with the KSL Sports app until 7, and then AM 1280 and the KSL Sports app after 7 to wrap up our coverage tonight from Florida. Utah still holding on to that first wildcard spot in the Western Conference, a 3-point lead over San Jose, who's in the second spot. So nothing lost there as the Mammoth fall to 27-21-4 on the season. Let's hear from Ian Cole and what the Utah defenseman thought after the game.
Can you just start with your initial thoughts on how your team played that game?
I think that obviously disappointing that we lost, but overall I think that we were happy with our intention and our desperation in that game. So I think there's a lot of things that we can take from that were positive. Obviously fix some things, but move on to tomorrow against another great team.
It felt heavy. It looked like a dogfight. I think you guys knew what you were getting into with this team. Where do you guys feel like your team rose to the occasion when it came to some of that more hard-fought fight?
It's they're a team that's been playing great hockey. They have great structure, but also highly skilled, and that's a similar style to how we want to play. We want to have great structure. We want to take away time and space. We want to be able to get in guys' way, get pucks back. They do the same thing. So it was a good game. Obviously, they're a good team. They capitalized on a couple chances. We did not capitalize on a couple of our chances, and that's the way it goes. But I think in terms of our mentality and our approach was another good step for us.
What were some of those details that allowed you guys to hold them to only 2 power play goals and no even strength goals?
Yeah. Like I said, we're trying to take away time and space, trying to get over guys. We're trying to take away their options, and we know what they like to do, and we were able to kind of shut down a lot of that. Again, they're a good hockey team. They're highly skilled. They make a ton of great plays, so they got a lot of great players. It's going to be impossible to shut them down completely, but I think overall we did a pretty good job, and like I said, it's the margins are very thin in terms of what wins you a game or not, and unfortunately it didn't go our way tonight. But I think if we do that, if we play a similar game, we'll win a lot of hockey games going forward.
What stood out about Vejmelka's game, especially when he was making some of those big saves?
Yeah, I mean, he played great. He played awesome for us. Not only did his play, but his puck touches were great too. He was getting out there, stopping pucks for us. It really helps us in the breakout, not having to go, all the way back and turn it up a little quicker. So yeah, I mean, enough can't be said for how he's played recently and how he's, kind of been our backbone here through this positive stretch.
There was a lot of penalties in the game, but that's what you get in kind of a mean contest against two teams who play an intense brand with lots of speed, who are playing good hockey. Tampa Bay had 4 power plays. Utah had 3. Penalties kind of came in bunches. Saw a fight in the game. There were a couple calls that went against Utah that looked like they were pretty soft, but nevertheless, the Lightning got them. They were able to convert on 2 power plays. Utah, who was 2 for 3 on the power play in their last 3 chances in the last 2 games, unable to convert on those looks. Let's hear what head coach Andre Tourigny said after the contest.
Well, I think we played a really good game, especially at 5-on-5. I think it's a team on the other side who's really stingy. They don't give anything. And if you look at the chance we create, the expected goal in about every phase, is really happy about our 5-on-5 play. And same defensively. It's a team who lead the league in about everything offensively. And we did a really good job, unfortunately. Too many timely penalties. Not just we got in the box, it's the timing of when we got in the box, and I think that cost us the game.
Ian Cole just talked about the mentality. I know you talk a lot about the right mentality going into games. What did you see in terms of that?
That was great. I think the guys were focused. They were urgent. They were. I'm happy about their focus in the game. I think, like I said, that team on the other side for the last 2 months, they dominated everybody, and we arrived here in their building, and we played a good game at 5-on-5, and I think I'm happy about what the guys did. I'm not happy about the result. Obviously, I would have loved to have a little bit more opportunistic offensively, but they're a good goalie.
I'm sure there's no update on terms of Jersey right now, but as far as his ability to kind of, I guess, instigate, but also use that emotion and channel it to add to the physicality, what can you say about him and his performance?
That's what we like about Durs. He has that drive, that passion, that competitiveness. That's good, and you need that at some point when push comes to shove. You need that energy.
In addition to his saves, what did you see out of Vejmelka's game, calmness, and his ability to help on breakouts with puck touches?
Yeah, he did a good job. I think Vej did a good job. I think he kept us in the game, like I said, at 5-on-5. He did a good job. And on the power play, they didn't have a lot of grade A looks, but fortunately, that was a hell of a shot in the first goal. And at the end, we're forcing, obviously, with a minute left, and made a big mistake, and they put it in the back of the net. That's unfortunate, but it's not on Veg.
In terms of just the penalty kill, and I know you haven't watched the tape yet, but anything you would have liked to have seen different off first?
No, I think we did a really good job. Like I said, okay, the last PKs, we're trying to attack more than to defend. So, okay, they score. That will look like that on the score sheet, but in reality, that's just the situation in the game. There's a minute 30 in the game where we try to push. We want to win the game. What's the difference today? We're losing 1-0 or 2-0. Well, at the end of the day, we lost. So might as well try to win. So we try to win. We try to push, and puck end up in the back of the net. It is what it is. Thank you.
And, of course, we'll recap it all for you coming up on the Tuesday edition of Mammoth Daily. We'll get Mike's Morning After. We've got our Tuesday mailbag, and we'll preview tonight against Florida on Apple, Spotify, Utah Mammoth YouTube page, Mammoth Plus, SEG Plus, wherever you get your podcasts. You can find us on Mammoth Daily, Monday through Friday. New episodes dropping every day at 4:45 a.m. with Mike Folta and myself.
There's the best of the Mammoth postgame show. When we come back, Jason Cole talking NFL playoffs. Then we'll get to the Cougars and Wildcats. Stay with us. DJ PK, we're joined now by Jason Cole, longtime NFL reporter and writer. PK's off, a little vacation time, but Jason is here to talk NFL football. Jason, good morning.
Good morning. What's going on?
Well, we got a lot of Denver Bronco fans here, and they're down right now, and I get that. But obviously they didn't have Bo Nix. So it's 3 years here with this current regime, and the arrow is up, so I think they ought to stay positive. But rather than go big picture, I just want to talk about the conference title game. Mm-hmm. Did both offenses get a little cover with that weather? Were the defenses always going to dominate those offenses? I mean, granted, the conditions were terrible in the second half. they weren't great in the first half, but they also weren't hideous. No, I didn't see a whole lot of offense, not just a lot of points. I didn't really see drives. I saw one big pass play and one big turnover. And other than that, I saw a lot of three and outs and punts, or maybe the occasional first down and then a punt.
Sometimes you get that in games like that where teams are trying to avoid a mistake. So there can be that explanation for it. But there's also this explanation. Between those two teams, which offensive players do you fear? And I would say there's nobody. Drake May might be the closest, and I don't know that Drake May is fear-inspiring. He's very good. He's on a path that he could be one of the top 3 to 5 quarterbacks in the league pretty quickly, right? That's possible. But he doesn't scare me. And so I think that they have both teams have a lack of game-changing players who then make up for when either conditions go bad or games are conservative, guys who can make a big play. So, I think these are nice teams, and either one of them would have been representative coming out of that game. And, yes, Denver Bronco fans should feel good about where they are, even though they're in a very tough division. All that said, I don't think those offenses neither one of those offenses scares me. So I think you're right to interpret that the weather covered up for what is a lack of firepower.
The defenses are both excellent. They were both top 4 in the NFL, along with Seattle, who was number 1. So defense wins championships. Certainly 3 of the top 4 defensive teams were in those conference title games. And the playoffs are different. Your point about Drake May, regular season Drake May is an elite quarterback. And, he's 23. He's just getting started here. But he was number 1 in completion percentage. He's number 1 in QBR rating. He was top 3 or 4 in everything that matters: touchdowns, yardage, all that stuff. And the playoffs are a different beast. But now he's only completing 56% of his passes in 3 playoff games. Hasn't gotten to 60% in any game. 4 touchdowns, 2 picks, and of course we know he's had a bunch of fumbles as well. Is that just the playoffs are harder and the weather is worse? Is there more to it than that? What do you think? Because Drake May's clearly getting into the conversation here for elite quarterbacks.
Yeah, again, I come back to who are the guys on that team that make life easier for him? Stephon Diggs, nice player. Hunter Henry, I should say. Nice tight end. Running back Stevenson. The other kid, nice players. And there's no scrubs on that team, but there's also no guys who are elite who just, that guy's going to be open against this defense. There's no Jackson Smith and Jigba who, no matter what you do to him, all right, he's going to find a way to get open. And he made life so much easier for Sam Darnold. I'm not saying that Sam Darnold didn't play well yesterday. He played extraordinarily well. But Smith and Jigba is running wide open on big plays. And it's everybody in the world knows he's the best receiver on this field when they are on offense. And he's still getting open no matter what. That's this kind of signature player that I'm talking about who makes life easier for your quarterback.
Well, as much as I want to cut Drake May slack because, the last 2 games, Houston and Denver, those are just elite defenses. Now they're getting someone who's just as good, unless they're a little better, and they're going to have 2 weeks to get healthy and to prepare and break down every tendency and be ready for everything. Did you feel like you were watching the Super Bowl when you watched the NFC title game?
A little bit. But I give New England more than a puncher's chance because, again, I come back to, all right, Sam Darnold just played the best game of his life.
Yep.
Do you expect that he's going to do that 2 weeks in a row, or is he going to be the guy who led the league in turnovers and show up, right? So which quarterback are we getting? And again, I'm happy for Sam Darnold. He's worked incredibly hard to get himself to this point, to have that kind of game and to be celebrated, because that's a talented guy. But until I see that on a consistent basis for a year or 2, I'm not going to trust that that's the norm. So the norm for me still with Sam Darnold is the guy who, in a big game when the pressure's on, has some yips. That's certainly possible. So does that show up in the Super Bowl when the lights get even brighter? Does he look like the guy who was in the playoffs with Minnesota last year, or does he look like the guy from yesterday? I don't know. There's a lot of psychobabble that goes into that you can't prove positively and you can't prove negatively.
What I heard in that answer right there, and a very good job by you, because I don't know how much experience you got in the state of Utah, but tapping into Utah's football psyche, because that answer right there, what I heard was Steve Young and Kyle Whittingham. Got two quarterbacks who haven't been here before, two quarterbacks who've had some turnovers recently, whether it's Darnold all season long or Drake May, certainly in the playoffs. And Kyle Whittingham has preached forever, turnovers are the most important stat after the final score. If there's any numbers you want the final score. You'll explain everything else later. But if you're looking for one stat to explain the final score, Kyle Whittingham must have said that 100 times. I mean, I heard that. I heard him say that in three different leagues. It's unreal.
No, but he's not wrong.
Right? I know. I agree.
Every time you give extra possessions to your opponent, like you're putting such a premium on, higher performance by your own offense that now all of a sudden you just have to have guys who are outrageous. Now you can get into games where you're willing to gamble on more turnovers. That's sort of the Saints classically in the year that they won the championship, was that we're going to play a high-paced offense and they're going to match that with, a defense that takes chances and doesn't want to be on the field a lot. That's a smart way to marry your philosophies. But your defense still has to win the turnover battle. And you still got to you can take those gambles, but you got to win the turnover battle that way.
The reason I brought up Steve Young is get the monkey off the back, right? Didn't say. I mean, he celebrated wildly when they beat the Cowboys to go to the Super Bowl, and I think a lot of people of a certain age here remember him running laps around the late great Candlestick Park. But he didn't say take the monkey off my back until they'd beaten the Chargers in the Super Bowl. And so for Darnold, as awesome as that was, and I mean. He's got the best defense to, quote unquote, prop him up, except he's got the best offense going up and down the field on the best defense. So he had to deliver. That was high level performance, but he won't scream take the monkey off my back until he does what Steve Young did. And even if it's against an AFC champ that looks like it ought to be an easier matchup on paper, possibly.
Well, I think the phrase for Sam Darnold should be make the ghost disappear.
Okay.
Since, the famous quote from the Jets game.
Yep.
Where he said
seeing
he was seeing ghosts.
Yep, seeing ghosts.
I mean, again, I think there's an emotional moment. There is, and you could see it in his face, how relieved he was, both ecstatic and relieved. You could see both of those things. And, these are triumphant moments for great athletes who endure failure, because certainly Sam Darnold has endured failure and been knocked around, and, resuscitated his career by first being a backup in San Francisco, then going on to Minnesota, getting back on the field, but then being told by Minnesota, sorry, we don't believe in you. We're going to get this J.J. McCarthy kid. You're going to have to go on. And being given a, quasi good contract in Seattle, all those things, and I mean, this is the kind of tale we all love to see. It's along the lines of Tom Brady being a 6th round draft pick and making it big, or Jim Plunkett, if you want to
go way back.
I want to date myself, and I can, is go back to a guy who was, just destroyed for 7-8 years of his career before he finally got to a place where he could get healthy and have a supporting cast. All those things you talk about. So I love the story. We'll see. Again, I love this. I love the storyline to this point. But if you're asking me, do I trust that Sam Darnold is the guy that I saw yesterday? I don't trust that. Not yet. I hope it happens, but I don't trust it.
He has been interception-free in the regular season finale against the Niners, the playoff game against the Niners, and now this NFC title game with the Rams. So that's 3 good teams, 3 high-pressure games, 3 good defenses, and he's come through in all of those. Now, the defense really won that regular season game.
Except two of those games, they took no chances.
Yeah, and they didn't have to against the Niners. Yeah,
they didn't have to, and that's okay. But in that regular season finale, like they called the game as if they were scared of their quarterback.
Yeah.
Yesterday, they did not. They had to play a game in which they had to trust him and believe in him, and he came through. Again, yesterday was the moment where you saw things and you said, okay, maybe it's coming along.
Maybe it's happening here. For the Rams, so close. They lose 2 out of 3 to Seattle. It felt like the Super Bowl. It feels like they're the second best team in football. Stafford hasn't officially said what he's doing next year. Let's assume that he comes back because he's at the top of his game, and why not? As his coach said, he's at the top of his game. What do the Rams need to get over the hump?
I think that they need one more. I hesitate to say this. I think they're okay offensively, so I'm not going to go with that. I think that they need another thumper on defense. And, they haven't replaced Aaron Donald still, and nobody replaces Aaron Donald. You're talking about a generational talent, a defensive line, a guy who's going to walk into the Hall of Fame. But they don't have guys on defense who stir the drink, either with the pass rush or in coverage, who just shut people down. And that showed up yesterday. Like they just, again, we're talking about a Seattle team that good offensively. Mm-hmm. But there were moments they were just going up and down the field, and they made big plays. And you got to have a guy who can make life harder for Smith and Jigba or whoever else, either in coverage or they've got a guy up front who causes fear and problems on, how you protect your quarterback. So I would say their biggest deficiency right now is one of those guys. They're okay. Like they have a lot of nice parts. They don't have difference makers on defense.
The Super Bowl, Seattle's been installed as a 4.5-point favorite. You think that's about right, given the fact that New England's got a really good defense, and I wouldn't expect people to go up and down the field on them. This ought to be a lower-scoring, tight game, barring turnovers and field position, all that really opening things up.
Well, classically, if you're an odds maker and your goal in this one is to get equal amounts of bets on both sides, so
right,
you're making a profit with the VIG. Not that I'm a gambler, but I do understand the business. If that's your goal, yes, this is a perfect line. If you're a football person taking a look at it, I kind of think this is going to be a much closer to the vest type of game played, and that's the way Vrabel's been coaching in the playoffs. Again, partly because he doesn't have overwhelming players. He's got Drake May, but doesn't have a lot of other guys, again, who stir the drink and can change games. And that's why even against Houston, look, they got four turnovers as C.J. Stroud in the first half. With a better team, that game should have been over at halftime. It was still competitive deep into the second half. That shouldn't happen in a game like that. And that's partly because Vrabel understands the kind of team he has when I was getting through it. I think that he'll find a way to manage this game and keep the score suppressed. I think he learned enough from Belichick to say, okay, we have to find a way to take away Smith and Jigba and make the other guys beat us, which is classically how Belichick always coached. Take away the other team's best player and see what the other guys can do in critical situations. So I kind of see this game as a field goal game. Some people might laugh at that and say, oh, no, it's, I believe in Seattle by a touchdown easy. I'm not quite there yet.
Special teams was huge in this NFC title game, obviously with the muffed punt giving Seattle the short field and a touchdown and what turned out to be a 4-point win. You think either team has a big advantage in special teams, something obvious?
Not really. I mean, muff punt is muff punt.
Right.
Yeah, that's not.
That can
not
always
because
happen.
You have great. Yeah, it can always happen. I mean, that's not because you came up with some brilliant strategy. The kickers, to me, the two kickers are a standstill. I don't think that one is particularly better than the other, especially when you're talking about playing in probably pretty good weather conditions. I don't know what it's looking like for 2 weeks. I don't know what the forecast is in 2 weeks in San Francisco.
Nobody does.
It can look ugly there sometimes.
Yeah, it can rain a lot.
This time of the year. Yeah, and so you could have, but they'll cover the field. They'll keep it okay. The question is whether it's going to be rain during the game and whether that'll affect the kicker. Either one of the two kickers. It's pretty much a draw on that one.
Jason, you've been coming on the show for a long time, talking football with us, and we appreciate it. And you strike us as a no-nonsense guy. So do you stay home and watch the Super Bowl on TV, or do you go to Santa Clara and wade into the fray and deal with all the media day nonsense and all that kind of stuff?
I have done both. I am not going this year, so that's just the way that goes. And I've covered 30 Super Bowls.
Yeah, that's enough.
And so if
that's enough.
I'll just say that. I'll say this: it's fun. I don't want to sit here and say it's not.
Right.
But if you've done it that many times, it's like, okay, I've done the routine.
Right.
Let's yeah. I don't. Yeah. If I want to get, if I could just fly in, go to the game, and enjoy the game, that would be enough.
Right.
I could do without the rest of it.
There's Jason Cole. A reminder, the KSL Sports Zone and Beehive Meals are honoring people that impact youth sports in our communities. Nominate the youth sports volunteer for the Beehive Meals Hero of the Week at kslsports.com/contest. And listen every Thursday afternoon to JJ and Alex for the winner. It's the Beehive Meals Hero of the Week. Post-game reaction from a big game at the Marriott Center next. Good morning, DJ and PK. It's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. All right. That game at the Marriott Center, that had a little bit of everything. First 15 minutes, trading baskets, super competitive, really good stuff. And then Arizona takes over. I thought it turned on one key play. Arizona scores. BYU goes to inbound. They're sloppy. They're not paying attention. Arizona steals the inbound and scores. Just giving away 2 points. For whatever reason, that swung the momentum. Arizona went on a run. They had control of the game at halftime. Second half, they stretched the lead out to 19 points. It looks like it's going to be a hideous, hard-to-explain home blowout defeat on their NCAA tournament resume, the kind of stuff that can affect seeding. But instead, the Cougars rally late. They get it down to 10 with 2 minutes to go, and then in a frantic final 2 minutes to get within one and get the ball back. They had some calls go their way. They had some bounces go their way, but they also brought a phenomenal amount of energy, made some big plays, made some big shots. But then then they get the final shot by Rob Wright blocked in the lane when they had a chance to take the lead. They end up losing by 3. What did Arizona think of that, and what did the BYU folks think of that? Well, let's start with Arizona's post-game reaction.
Obviously, great game, great environment. BYU's a tough place to win, and we knew it was going to be a real challenge. I thought for long stretches in the game we played great, and then they seem to have the ability to do. They surmounted a hard charge at the end, and fortunate for us, I didn't think it was going to get to that point, but it did. I mean, they had the ball with 11 seconds to go, down 1, and Braden came up with a big time defensive play, and he got the rebound and made 2 free throws. So it's a big time finish for us, and we've been talking a lot about that. From going back to this summer, that there's going to be some games that come down to getting one stop, and we haven't been in a lot of them, so it was great to experience that and have it come out our way.
Questions for Jaden or Braden, please, first.
Braden, take us through that final block. Rob Wright had hit a game winner earlier this year against Clemson. What were you thinking as the play unfolded?
Honestly, I was just thinking, my teammates have been having my back this whole year, and that was the least I can do is help them in that position right there. So I just wanted to help them miss the shot and just try to get the rebound, and I seen that he was open. I just went for the block. Got the rebound.
What got you and Braden going so early in this game, in your opinion?
I just feel like just making easy plays. Our bigs did a great job of creating open lanes and shots for us, and So we just were able to hit those, and we had the flow early, so that was all.
Braden and Jaden in this one, but they seem to have a concerted effort to take away the rim. You guys both hit a number of mid-range jump shots. Was that something you planned on prior to the game, knowing that they would try to play drop coverage, or how did that come about while playing the game? Was it just all feel, or was that a preconceived decision that you guys would be looking for shots in the mid-range?
Yeah, I think it was just more like a read and react type of flow. That they're so far behind that you can just shoot the midi. If they come up, go all the way. Pretty simple.
Coach, I feel like you executed the scout on the ball, so you got 24 points. But
I mean, AJ's really good. I mean, like you can do a great job on AJ, and he can still score 30. I mean, just he's a really unique player in college. We haven't seen a lot of guys like him that just are so proficient at getting fouled. So it makes for a tough guard. I mean, a lot of our guys haven't played against him, so especially, and then none of them have played against him in a college setting because obviously he's continuing to get better. So, I thought once we got through the initial kind of feel of how to guard him, I thought our guys did a pretty good job.
Any other questions for the players? I'm going to let them go.
Yeah, Jaden,
Okay. Go ahead, Sal. Go ahead, Sal.
Jaden, down the stretch of a couple of games this year, you guys have had a little bit of trouble beating the press. What do you learn from this game since it's been such a long stretch in between the last time it kind of happened?
That's what we work on in practice. On the road, games where it come down to, being press breaks, and I feel like we did a decent job. We got to watch the film, so got a lot of stuff to clean up. I shouldn't have got to that point, but, we did a great job, and we still got a lot to clean up.
In the front right.
Braden, just in terms of the freshman class, you, Koa, AJ, what do you make of all the hoopla you guys are getting as one of the best freshman classes in the country?
I feel like we just getting better each and every day. Even I feel like we have the best freshmen on our team in the whole nation with Yvonne, Ceedee, Mabille, Dwayne. And, it's just getting better every day and just continue to have that growth mindset. That's what we need.
In the back, yep.
Yeah, obviously AJ's had plenty of hype coming in, but he was a freshman. Was that a matchup you were looking forward to?
Yeah, of course, because, he's one of the better players out there. But I kind of go into every game just trying to dominate in every aspect, rebounding, defending, playmaking.
Anything else for the player? Bruce?
Jaden, does it seem like some of these, especially on the road, do you feel like you're playing more aggressively, or, it seemed like tonight really came out?
Just taking with the defense, what they're giving us. They were in the gaps, and my teammates believe in me, throwing me the throw-ahead passes, and just trying to go out there and play for my teammates.
All right, we'll let the players go. Coach, stick around for a few more minutes.
Great.
Questions for Coach?
Coach, I know that there was some thought that you might start with Yvonne on AJ. What was the decision?
I mean, probably nothing we need to share publicly. We knew we were going to give him a lot of different looks, and and it wasn't anything crazy. There was no. We knew over the course of the game we were going to have to give him different looks, and so we just kind of started that way, and it felt like that could, maybe, we were going to see how it goes, and we would adjust from there.
Is there a little bit more comfortability with Koa starting on him since they are familiar with each other?
I mean, I don't think so. I think it's just kind of how the matchups worked out. We felt best, doing that, and yeah, I mean, then Yvonne had his chance guarding him, Dwayne had his chance guarding him, Tobe had his chance guarding him. JB and Deli ended up on him. I mean, you put who you want on them, and they're going to try to go pick a matchup. So at some point it almost becomes irrelevant who you put on them. I mean, they're going to go try to target somebody and get in their perception, a matchup advantage. So, at the end of the day, everyone has to be able to kind of carry their weight defensively on him.
In the first half, you guys outscored BYU 13-0 in points off the turnovers. You were able to force 9 turnovers in the first half. What do you feel like you did right early on defensively?
I mean, I just thought I thought our activity was good, and I think we were opportunistic. I don't think it was any crazy scheme or anything like that. There's no geniuses here. It was just guys out there playing hard, playing basketball, and maybe had an opportunity to create an advantage for us and making a play in the gaps or something like that. So, we want our players to have the freedom to kind of do that kind of stuff.
What do you think happened from your vantage point in that final minute that got to give you that opportunity?
Well, listen, I mean, I have an All-American point guard, and I don't know if he got fouled or not, but it's not too often you see a jump ball and then no calls like that, at the end of a game. And, I'm really confident with the ball in JB's hands, and I kind of wanted to save our timeout. Obviously, in hindsight, I would have done something different. And at the end of the day, listen, you just can't put it in the ref's hands. You got to be cleaner. We gave up free offensive free throw rebounds. I mean, I know Yvonne had the ball, had it over his head. They made a nice play, tipped it out. JB has the ball there. They make a play. And then AJ picks up the one, and we foul him so it doesn't get in. It turns into a flagrant one. I mean, so just tough stuff. I mean, it felt like everything at the end kind of went against us. But you know what? Our guys have competitive character and hung in there and found a way. But that easily could have went the other way for sure.
Was the timeout you called at 12 seconds, was part of that just to kind of cool things down? You had Braden go.
I mean, I just wanted to kind of see what they were setting up and then just talk to our guys. I didn't want to, like, hey, if we lose, I didn't want to have that in my back pocket and regret not, kind of giving our guys a little bit of a plan. And, so sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But listen, the kid got to point blank. I mean, fortunately they didn't call a foul. I mean, we had the same situation at home against them last year. They got down close to the rim and they called a foul and we lost the game, so. I mean, just how it goes sometimes.
Were you surprised it was Rob Wright on that final play instead of AJ?
I don't know. I mean, listen, they threw the ball to Rob Wright deep, against our baseline out of bounds defense, and he came with a head of steam. And I haven't seen the film to see where the gaps are, where the other guys are, or even where AJ was. So, I don't know why. I mean, listen, Rob Wright's a really good player and a winner, so I'm sure. He probably felt comfortable doing that, and they probably felt comfortable with him, making that play as well. It just didn't work out. It could have easily worked out.
Coach, two more questions for Coach.
Jaden provided such a steadying presence. It just seems like, especially in the first half when things weren't super clicking offensively, his ability to just create for himself in the mid-range is just so crucial. How important is that ability of his, and how impressed are you with just his growth since when he's got
Well, listen, I think, obviously JB's playing at all. He's played at an All-American level all year. And, I mean, that's I don't need to be the one promoting that. That's obvious. I think the thing that's not talked about with JB enough is just how much better he's gotten over the course of his college career. And JB gets all the credit for that. JB is incredible character. He's a hard worker. He kind of waited his turn and he was patient. And for a kid that, was highly ranked like he was, he stuck to a process. So he and his family get a lot of credit for that. And I think because he stuck with that process, I think he's going to be rewarded with a great long basketball career.
Coach, second straight year, you guys get a win. Is there just the challenge of coming into this building and getting wins?
Well, fortunate for me, I played here a lot, so I know how hard it is, and I got a tremendous amount of respect for the BYU basketball program and the legacy they have. And so, we come in here, it's got our full attention. And, I know that, you're not always going to come out on the winning side, but, we really wanted this challenge for our team. This was a great opportunity for us, win or lose. And we approached it as such, obviously it's a quick turnaround. We played Saturday, and, we really only were able to kind of walk through yesterday. So our guys get a lot of credit. Our coaching staff, deserves a lot of credit for the preparation. And fortunately, we made one more play than they did tonight. Where it felt like for stretches, we made a lot more plays than them, but they were able to kind of close the gap. So we'll evaluate that and figure out why. But I'm going to tip my hat to BYU, and I'm going to tip my hat to our players.
Thanks, Coach.
What do you got, Bruce?
Sorry. You've talked about Braden and his competitiveness and the way he's played lately. Is there a fine line there where he gets that flagrant, where he's?
I mean, it's hard. This game's hard. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's hard. I mean, I don't know what happens in some of these reviews. They're tough. It seems like every time they go to a review, come on, it's a good basketball play. I mean, you're not trying to hurt a guy. I mean, you literally got an All-American player point blank. What are you supposed to do? Get out of the way and let him dunk it on you? Come on, guys. We all played basketball growing up. You foul, and you can't give up an and one, or your coach is going to yell at you. It's just tough. It's tough. Tobey's deal was tough. That's tough. But again, we did have great officials tonight. So I don't know if it's the officials' fault or just the way they're trying to administer the rules. But guys, that really didn't have anything to do with the game. I'm just saying that I'm talking on the when the refs are going to evaluate stuff and for flagrant ones, it's tough. It's tough. And we had a couple games ago where they literally flopped and were grabbing our guys' arms and putting them up in their face, and they were asking for appeals, and there's no penalty for it. Should be a technical foul. If you call for an appeal and it's not, it should be a technical foul. Like, there's got to be something on the line here. So I don't know. I mean, that's a conversation for another day. Great environment. Super impressed with BYU's team. Coach Young's a great coach, doing a great job. We were fortunate enough to make one more play than them tonight, and I'm looking forward to a couple days off.
All right, there's Arizona's postgame reaction. Now let's go to the BYU players, A.J. DeBonsa and Richie Saunders.
AJ, can you talk about what you saw in that final play?
I mean, Rob just made a good play, get to the rim. I think Jaden Bradley thought he was going to, try to bump him. Held the ball strong. Ref said it was a clean block. It was a clean block. I think it was a good opportunity. I think the way we fought was a little bit better. I'm just happy the way we fought.
Richie, you guys were down double digits, about a minute to go in this game. How did you guys claw your way back into this from your perspective?
Yeah, I mean, just as a whole, we didn't execute as well as we'd like to, but in that last little bit, we executed well, and that's what it came down to. So, got to figure out how to just keep chipping away at making that 40 minutes instead of just good stretches.
AJ, what was Arizona doing to you defensively tonight that led to not as efficient of a night as you were accustomed to?
Nothing. I missed shots. I normally make. My middies wasn't falling. Wide open threes wasn't falling. I just missed shots.
Richie, Kevin said that this kind of proves you guys can play with anybody when you're on. Would you agree with that? And how can you guys build on this? What can you take from it?
Yeah, 100% agree. Just like I was saying, like, we had to execute for 40 minutes. It sucks when this happens and when you come up short, right? But just if we can figure out how to just execute for that full 40 minutes and, like I was saying, not have lapses, like that's when we're gonna reach where we can reach our potential.
AJ, this is your first time going as a co-ed. I know you played together all through your youth, but your first time going together in college. What was your assessment of the matchup?
I mean, how it's always been. I mean, I played with him for 3 years, won 3 gold medals with him. Just a great player. I mean, gets downhill, shoots the midi well, big, strong body. I mean, I think he's going to be, imposing as well this whole season and, at the next level too.
Richie, how encouraging, if that's the right word, was it to see Moo banging down some threes and Kosic coming in the second half and providing some triples?
Yeah, I mean, Moo was bound to make some. He was due for it. He's an incredible shooter, and I'm really happy that he kind of was finding that rhythm. And Alex, that's what he does. You guys don't get to see that all the time, but we do. And proud of him for stepping up.
2 more questions.
Richie, how hard was it to be fouled out, with you not be on the floor during that stretch at the end?
I mean, it sucks. It sucks, and it feels just like a personal thing of just letting my team down, not being there for my team when I need to, and got to clearly figure out how to not pick up a couple of those, and so that's what I'll be watching this week. But it sucks.
All right, last question. AJ, as you guys move forward here, that's the #1 team in the country, and usually just coming pretty fast and heavy down the stretch here. Just what do you take away from a game like this?
That we found our identity, that we're going to fight to the end. We're not going to just fold when we're down a certain amount of points. And that just proves that we can play anybody in the team if we can, hold the #1 team to – we didn't hold them, but they were up big and we can fight back and come back and then make it a one-possession game. It just shows what the possibilities of us and what we can do in the future.
There's A.J. DeBonsa and Richie Saunders. Now here's the head coach, Kevin Young.
Coach, the last shot, was there an opportunity to maybe get A.J. the ball, or were you happy with what Rob did?
I mean, it's a two-option play. And so they did a good job of taking the first option away. And, Rob got the ball, within 2 feet of the basket and felt pretty good about that. Probably a little bit more time on the clock. They collapsed. Maybe could have found something. But, Rob's a gamer. We saw it at the Garden. I trust him in those moments. Quite frankly, him and AJ, neither one of them really had it going. But those are our guys. We're going to ride and die with them. So, like I said, the first option was to get AJ the ball. They clogged the area we were trying to get it to, and then we got the ball in Rob's hands to make a play.
Take us through that final minute, just all the comebacks that you guys mounted in that stanza.
Man, I got to break that one down on the film because there was so much going on. I just watched a little bit of it. I mean, we were down 10 with like a minute 2 to go, which is insane. But, it just says a lot about our team. the fight. We spent a lot of time on situational things. I thought, we executed about as good as you can to overcome that type of a deficit. And so there's a lot of things we can, take from that as far as putting it in our kind of memory bank and experience. And that's obviously a positive.
Are you encouraged by the performance you got from Moon tonight? He kind of broke out of his slump from the perimeter, 5 a day.
Yeah, I don't see how you can't be. He's had a rough go. He's a tough kid, and he stepped up and made plays.
How'd you feel about you called it the paint mentality coming into this game? How'd you feel they handled that this game?
Good, not great. And we only forced them to shoot 12 threes, just too many mistakes, and they were plus 14 on the free throw line. I'm not going to go at the officials. Every night it can go either way. I thought there was some marginal contact on some of them, but that part is what it is. We just didn't have not enough execution defensively was showing a crowd like we wanted to. I will say I thought our guys did a great job. Ironically, the paint points weren't even from the bigs. It was really the two guards that were having their way. You have to give them credit. Burry's a really good player. First time really seen him up close. He's big. He's got a great pace to his game. I thought Bradley was just an absolute dog. He's getting wherever he wants to. We started putting 2 on the ball more to kind of keep him out of the paint, which helped. But look, man, they're a good team, and they exposed us with their guards. But again, I thought coming into it, I was more worried about their bigs. I thought we did a good job on their bigs.
How do you feel like Alexi played in the stretch? It feels like the game turned when he came in.
Yeah, the game's about making shots, man. It's bottom line. So he can shoot, and that's why he's on the floor. And, I also thought he came in and executed defensively better than some of the guys who played, more minutes. So probably earned himself, a bigger opportunity. But, around AJ and Rob, we need guys that can knock shots down. So, he definitely turned the tide.
Coach Tommy said sometimes it doesn't even matter who you start on AJ because of the way you guys match up on. What did you think about just the way Arizona's, weaker defenders did, the job that they did on AJ tonight?
I mean, I got to really dive into the film to really give a great answer on that. But, look, I'll be the first person to always give the other team credit when they do something well. He shot 6 of 24. So, on paper, they did a good job. He also got to the line 16 times. But, and I experienced this some when I was in the NBA, like with Kevin, Durrant as an example. Like, sometimes you can do whatever you want on defense. It doesn't matter. He's either going to make the shot or he's going to miss it. And I thought AJ probably just missed shots. But you have to give them credit. They stuck their nose in there, and they made it hard on him. And so he'll learn from it, and we'll try to be better next time.
2 more questions.
What are some of your maybe immediate takeaways from stacking your team up against the top team in the country?
We're right there with every team in the country. I thought that before the game. I think it just as much I did before the game as I do now. So, I have a lot of respect for Tommy. I mean, I don't know a lot of the college coaches. He's a guy I've gotten to know a little bit. We have a mutual friend that I worked with the Suns that knew him, worked at Gonzaga together. So, knew him through that a little bit. He's a great coach, and runs a great program, understands what wins at the college level. I mean, they're really unique, right? In modern basketball, they shot 12 threes and scored 86 points. You know what I mean? So they've got the style, I think, figured out pretty well. And clearly it's hard for teams across the country to play against, but, we didn't play good. Rob and AJ, if you told me before the game that Rob and AJ were going to go 9 of 40 and we were going to lose to the number 1 team in the country by 3 points, and I'm not here for moral victories. I'm pissed. I wish that they would have played better and we would have won the game comfortably. So it's just all about improvement, man. That's the bottom line. You got to learn from your mistakes. And I just said to the players in the conference play, and I think you see it across the country. In conference play, the margins are very small. You can't make mistakes repeatedly, and so when you do it, we got ourselves into a hole. Now give ourselves credit because we did a great job in the second half of digging out of it. But that's a long-winded way of saying I feel good about our, stacking up with any team in this country.
Last question. Coach.
We'll go 2. Let's go 2. Here we go.
Richie seemed to have it going tonight, but only got 11 shots. What did you see there from that perspective?
Yeah, look, Richie's getting guarded like no other this year. I mean, people are smothering the guy, and I give my Russian friend, I'm not even going to try to say his last name, credit. He's a tough-nosed player, plays really hard. He's a good defender. Richie had a hard time getting a step on him. But also give Richie credit. I thought we did a decent enough job of moving him around a little bit more. He hit a 3 in the first after timeout play, hit that big 3 in another after timeout play. And so, Richie's a guy that will continue to try to get open looks for the best that we can.
Last question. Nadim played just 5 minutes tonight. He played over 20 the other night. Was that just matchup related tonight?
Well, a lot of that was Moo was hurt in that game. Moo goes 5-8 from 3. I thought he gave us a big lift, and Hadim's got to continue to improve. With certain things that we're trying to work on him with. But I love Moo. I love Hadim. I love his mentality. He's a dog. He brings in intensity, and some games just matchups call for different things.
All right, there's BYU basketball coach Kevin Young. When we come back, what is trending? The headlines are next.
It's time to get your morning started with the news you need to know. News update. This is what's trending with DJ and PK. Hashtag Utah Jazz.
Obviously, we need high-level players who can do multiple things. We've been struggling on defense, so that's a priority for us in everyday individual workouts, every day in practice, and can guard doesn't hurt you. It's a responsibility for all of us that's in the building right now and kind of getting better at it, and so that's how we look at it.
The Utah Jazz, worst in the league in defense. How can they improve those numbers? Walker Kessler coming back next year would obviously help. However, first, PK.
Will Chamberlain.
Will Chamberlain would also help, yes.
Yeah.
Will Chamberlain's not walking through that door. In the meantime, how about staying between your man and the basket? That'd help a little bit.
Well, how about showing up? Yak tweets out last night a healthy contingent of the Jazz players were going to get the BYU game. No, they weren't. One was going to be illness. The other was going to be rest. The other was going to be this, that. How come this team gets sick a lot? How come the statues didn't get sick? How come Thurl didn't get sick? How come Mark Eden didn't get sick? These guys get sick a lot.
Because they didn't trade away a draft pick, possibly, and then try to save it.
We got all this fancy travel and 42 conditioning and strength coaches and trainers.
And yet,
they're sick.
Yusuf Nurkic, doubtful.
Every time you turn around, somebody's got a cold.
Illness.
Thank goodness.
Maybe it's food poisoning.
Well,
maybe he ate some questionable cheese or meat.
No, well, you know what? The door is open, and there's a draft coming in.
Oh, there is?
Yeah. In June.
Oh.
I knew you didn't get it right off the bat.
Good to have you back, PK. No, you move way too quick for me. You got to slow things down.
There's a draft coming in June. It's creating some illnesses.
I got to look at the film of this show to know what really happened.
That's the deal, that draft. Getting a little breezy in here.
And it is blowing away. Lowry Markkanen, Yusuf Nurkic, and Keontae George as the Jazz host the Clippers tonight at the Delta Center. Keontae's out to rest.
When you're 22 and haven't played in 3 days, you're gassed.
Exactly. And Lowry Markkanen is questionable. He's questionable. The NBA Rising Stars Challenge roster is out. Ace Bailey not named. So, no part of All-Star Weekend for him.
That's a travesty.
Much frustration for a certain segment of Jazz fans who really like a little validation in that area.
Oh, there's validation there. He's going to be a player. As I told you last week, you combine George with Bailey, and you got a wonderful life.
There it is. KSL Sports Zone tonight, 7 o'clock for the Jazz pregame. Game tips off at 8 o'clock, late start for the national broadcast tonight. DJ and PK.
Hashtag NBA.
All right, time for your daily NBA injury update. It's the Bucks and Giannis Antetokounmpo this time. Bucks not setting a timeline. He's dealing with a calf strain again. Told the media he'd probably miss 4 to 6 weeks. initially after being injured. Bucks, no timeline. We'll see if it's longer than that. He was out with a calf injury in December, and now he's out again here in late January. So, other things for All-Star Weekend. Mac McClung, NBA dunk contest reigning champ, will not defend his title. I hope you'll still lock into All-Star Saturday despite the absence of Mac McClung.
You do?
Sure.
You're going to be disappointed then.
Yeah, we'll watch some college hoops. Luka Doncic, 46 points and 12 assists, leading the Lakers past the Bulls, 129-118. He had it going on, as he often does. Hornets continue to pull away from the Jazz. They beat the Sixers 130-93. DJ and PK.
Hashtag college basketball.
I mean, it's a two-option play, and so they did a good job of taking the first option away. Rob got the ball, within 2 feet of the basket, and felt pretty good about that. Probably a little bit more time on the clock. They collapsed. Maybe could have found something, but, Rob's a gamer. We saw it at the Garden. I trust him in those moments. Quite frankly, him and AJ, neither one of them really had it going, but those are our guys. We're going to ride and die with them. So, like I said, the first option was to get AJ the ball. They clogged the area we were trying to get it to. And then, we got the ball in Rob's hands to make a play.
BYU loses to Arizona 86-83. A.J. DeBonson did not have it going, 6 of 24 from the floor, and Rob Wright III, 3 of 16. Not what they were looking for out of those guys. Some other guys did come through, and that was a heck of a rally. And much rather lose by 3 than the 19 points they were down there in the middle of the second half. That would have been a major blemish on the old NCAA tournament resume for what they're trying to acquire and what they're trying to do and where they're trying to be seated. So, 3-point loss to the undefeated number ones. Probably won't raise too many eyebrows.
They lost the game. We got moral victories here now? I mean, great. They didn't lose by as much as they could have. The referees, man, they had some serious adrenaline on that offensive foul call. Do you think they make that in McHale?
Absolutely.
He steps back and violently points in the direction of the students.
If they have armed guards and an escort out of the arena.
That was awesome, man. He was so fired up. Remind me of that time we got pulled over when we were going out to Tooele, and I didn't move over the lane. You remember that cop?
Yeah,
man?
yeah,
He was so fired up, man, when he pulled us over.
He was.
I was laughing. That was great. That's some serious home cooking. And he's Kevin Young is right. He's going to ride or die with those two guys. And you notice it. And he said, "Well, you saw what he did at the Garden." Yeah, what he did at the Garden. The kid can't finish around the basket in traffic. He's too small.
There it is.
And what did we see at the Garden? We saw a three-pointer. He's a gamer. But he's just too small.
He got inside. He had to wait for the guy who was defending him. Kind of his momentum carried him out of bounds to give him a little shot. But by then, somebody on the other side of the court who's defending a three-point shooter on the far sideline sees what's happening, runs over and blocks the shot from behind.
He is a gamer. I agree. I love having the ball in his hands. But in traffic, he's just too small. And there's just no way. Tommy Lloyd would have gone out and Latrell spree-rolled the referee if they called a foul on that one. After they had just done a jump ball. And the way the emphatic, could you calm down the emotion a little bit, referees here?
No, they're feeling the crowd. They're feeling the crowd.
It's Tony Padilla, man. Come on.
They're just caught up in the whole situation.
I did think it was good that both coaches, they had questions that led them there, but they both backed off. Because if Tommy Lloyd goes nuts, it's like, well, you shot 32 free throws to their 19 at home.
Yeah.
And Keita had a big block. He was mad because he got stripped at the other end. And he came like a freight train to the other end. They called a foul on that. Pretty iffy, and the crowd was going nuts. And I thought Saunders' third or fourth, I think it was his fourth foul, there wasn't much there. But it's like you always love to say, that stuff happens. And over the course of the game, it probably happens to lots of different players.
Yeah, I think BYU is going to have a problem throughout the season consistently of outshooting teams from the free throw line because they don't have any inside game. And DeBonsa, I know you're on TV. I know you're battling for the number one pick and all that. Man, you got to take some better shots.
Some forced.
Oh, yeah.
Feeling it.
Yeah, and it wasn't there. What was he, 6 of something?
6 of 24 and 1 of 8 from 3.
But I appreciate their effort and their desire. All that stuff was there. There was no question about it. They're just a little outmanned. They don't have as much talent as Arizona does.
Right. Arizona with 7 guys averaging in double figures. And BYU, it's 3 guys who are going to carry the load. Now, Kennard Davis Jr.
Good for him.
Couldn't hit a 3 in the first half. Couldn't miss in the second half. That was something.
It's a law of numbers.
He finished with 17 points and was 5 of 8 from 3.
Yeah, and he picked up the slack. And
Saunders,
they're going to need that.
Saunders shot it well, and Davis shot it well.
And then some other foreign kid that I haven't seen play in a good while. He came in and hit a couple of buckets. They need every little thing that they can get there. They're short of big guys. It seems like they got a whole bunch of 6'7" guys who can run and jump and do those things, but they don't have enough skill inside. Arizona does. It's Koa Pete. He's from Phoenix. I've heard about him for 5 years now. His brother was an offensive lineman for the Devils and then transferred down to Tucson. So he comes from an athletic family. They just have more talent. To me, this is going to be a fun run. But I think it's going to end up in the manner of Texas Tech football. You spent millions, and you got some holes, so you're going to end in a disappointment. But you're going to have a fun run along the way.
I can see where you're going with that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't anticipate them winning at all. When you see what Arizona's doing, and you see what Michigan is doing, it does seem like there's teams with another gear out there. And so when do you draw them? Is it round of 16? Is it Elite 8? How does that work out? Which is impossible to know because however it's seeded, there could still be upsets along the way.
Yeah.
Who knows?
And they did have 2 injuries, I think, that they were counting on. But those are perimeter guys. They need some more bulk.
They need the guys in the
They only have 2 guys.
They need more guys in the 6'10" to 7'1" range.
And are bulky.
Yep.
I mean, DeBonsa, that's not going to be his game. So, but it doesn't mean they're not going to have a good season. They are. And they got Arizona in a couple weeks down there. See what happens.
I love the post-game questions to Lloyd. He's going with I don't really want to get into that. I'm like, well, yeah, they play again in 3 weeks. Why did you do that?
Doesn't want to go public with it.
I'm not going to tell you that. Come on. All right, DJ and PK.
#NFL.
Former NFL quarterback Philip Rivers removed his name from consideration for the Bills' head coaching position that he had interviewed for. He'd never coached at the college or pro level, only at the high school level. So he takes his name out. Now, PK, you have covered a lot of coaching searches. When you hear that someone is taking their name out of consideration, don't you usually think they know they're not going to get it? They also probably know who is going to get it, so we're probably 24 to 48 hours away from finding out.
I don't think that they were going to hire a high school coach. Just don't see that. I don't care how great of a player you were. But the original Hammer, he's not enthralled with Mike McCarthy to Pittsburgh. You know who the original Hammer is?
Fred Williamson.
Nice. Outstanding work by you.
Well,
I happen to have this past weekend a conversation with Fred Williamson.
Get out! Are you serious? That is awesome. Honestly, I know very little about that guy, but my dad's generation does, and I heard about him. Oh, that was a great nickname, the Hammer.
He's 87 years old.
He'd have to be, right? He played for Kansas City in the first Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So he'd have to be way up there. I had no idea he was even alive.
He is alive.
And honestly, I wouldn't know him if I saw him, but I know the name because my dad talked about him. So.
Yeah.
All right. So why did you talk to Fred Williamson, former NFL player, is now 87 years old, and was in his time a feared defensive back in the Hammer because he probably gave people concussions with hits that would draw flags today and get him ejected, but nonetheless.
Yes, he was into movies. He did a little broadcasting.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, he did movies with Jim Brown. That's where I remember him.
Okay.
Not as a player. There's a place in Palm Springs, up the canyon a little bit, and it's called it's Indian Canyon, and there's it's north and a south course, and the north course is the original one, and it used to be private for the likes of Dean Martin, Frank, those types.
Right, your celebs, your high-end celebs.
Yeah, and it's just gorgeous. The picture that I sent you was the south course, and they're right next to each other. I mean, it's a street divides them. So I'm on the north course, the older one, the original one, and we're teeing off like on the third or fourth hole. And the guy that I'm with is a character, and he looks like he can be part of the Rat Pack himself as an older guy. He said, "You see that guy over there standing on over by the houses?" I said, "Yeah." He says, "That's the Hammer."
Huh.
So he's just standing out, and there's a little backyard adjacent to course, and he's chipping some balls. And so my wife hits one over there, and I go over, and hey, how's it going, man? Hey, good. And he's obviously still with it, very much so. And so she says to him, "Hey, could you give me some lessons?" He says, "No, man, I got to watch you. I'm going to learn how to do this." You know, he's got personality. And so, okay, it's on. And so then I start talking to him, and he's very glib.
Yeah.
And I said, what do you think of McCarthy? Did you see that the Steelers hired McCarthy? Yeah, I know that.
Nice.
That's about attitude, man. The attitude isn't working. Blah, 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 blah. I don't care who they hire as coach. They need to change their attitude. And he's just going to town, man.
Nice.
So it was fun.
I had no idea when I threw that out there that I'd unlocked all of this.
Yeah. It was fun to talk to the original Hammer, Fred Williamson. Look him up. He's highly accomplished.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he's big time.
And he's still going. He's 87 years old.
That was my dad had Charger season tickets back in that era with my grandpa and my uncle, and the three of them would go to games all the time. And yeah, Fred Williamson, but before my time,
I had no idea they called him a Hammer, but
yeah.
But I looked it up.
Yep.
On the next hole, I quickly Googled him and said, "Wow, this guy's."
Yeah.
I recognized the name and I recognized his face.
Yeah. Yeah, one of those shows. I don't know if he played when they won the Super Bowl a few years later, or if that was right at the end of his career. I don't know.
And he had a Raiders
out.
jacket on.
What? He was a Chief, and in that era, they hated each other.
He had a Raiders jacket on.
Had a big old brawl years later.
Looked it up. He was a 3-time All-AFL player for the Raiders, then moved to the Chiefs.
Oh, so he's with the Raiders first. Okay.
Yeah.
There you go. All right. Well, then, okay, go ahead and wear the Raiders gear. I did not know that. He played for both those. That's funny, changing sides of that back in the day when they were button heads. All right, so anyway, all that digresses the original Hammer, not Fred Williamson. Are we talking Wilner, or you got another Hammer?
No, he is the original.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. He's the original Hammer.
Okay. The NFL has tapped Browns quarterback Shadur Sanders to be the replacement for the Patriots quarterback Drake May in the Pro Bowl games, drawing scrutiny as to why he was the replacement pick. The answer to all your questions is money. Eyeballs. I mean, please. He's a lightning rod. People will watch him and they'll talk about him. Played 8 games. He's a Pro Bowler, huh? 8 games mopping up the...
I didn't realize they played the Pro Bowl. I thought they...
they do that. They name him to the Pro Bowl, but it's not actually a game. It's like a bunch of events. I don't know. They'll put a tire in a truck and drive it across the field 40 yards downfield and throw a ball through it. I mean, it's stuff like that. They reinvent it every year. I don't know. It's more like a skills competition.
They have a flag
They have a flag game. Yeah. DJ and PK.
Hashtag college football.
The University of Utah names Joe D'Orazio as their new general manager, replacing longtime GM Robert Blecken, who's expected to join Kyle Whittingham's staff at Michigan. Joe D'Orazio was a GA at Utah in 2012-13. He has moved all around the country, most recently at USC. The kind of guy who, I think now, if we're not in the building at 5:30, PK, it's hard to assess how good they are or aren't or what they're doing, and yet it does seem like a job well, they better be good at it. If you're not good at it, you're going to end up having a problem.
Well, I'll assess how good they are on Saturdays.
Okay. Yak, you got some breaking news, you say. What just happened?
So Duke quarterback Darian Mensah, who's been in a litigation battle with Duke, they've settled that, and he will be able to enroll elsewhere, which is expected to be the Miami Hurricanes.
So write a check and you can go. There it is. A week after the Big 12 announced the championship game was moving to Friday night, the ACC championship game will be played in the Saturday morning slot the Big 12 had been occupying. So they've got the 4 Power League championship games now in 4 different TV windows. The ACC had been going head-to-head in prime time with the Big 10, so they moved that. NCAA will be re-examining the targeting rule this offseason, and particularly examining the penalty associated with the targeting call. The rule will not be taken out of the rule book, but the ejection and associated suspension, if it happens in the second half of a game, could be subject to change.
Well, I've been screaming for that for years.
Yep, I thought you'd be happy when I saw that headline. DJ and PK.
Hashtag Major League Baseball.
Team Japan's World Baseball Classic roster has been set. You will not be shocked to learn that Shohei Ohtani is the biggest name on the roster. And Yoshinobu Yamamoto will join him. Although fellow Dodger Hiroki Sasaki will not participate in the WBC. So they'll have a mix of players playing here in the U.S. and then players playing in Japan. We'll see how loaded their team is and how it does. How long till the WBC? You got that? You got that on your calendar? Got that set?
Well, it's in March, middle of March. I mean, spring training starts in 2 weeks with pitchers and catchers, and a few days later. They moved it up a week or so with this thing going on. So, yeah.
DJ and PK.
Hashtag NHL.
Really happy about our 5-on-5 play, and same defensively. It's a team who lead the league in about everything offensively, and we did a really good job. Unfortunately, too many timely penalties. Not just we got in the box, it's the timing of when we got in the box, and I think that cost us the game.
The Utah Mammoth go to Tampa Bay and lose to the Lightning 2-0. They get shut out. So that ends their string of 9 straight games with points. Both the goals for Tampa came on the power play, and that ends up being the difference in the game. They were 2 for 4 on the power play, and the Mammoth were 0 for 3. Mammoth are right back at it tonight. They'll be in Sunrise, Florida, take on the Florida Panthers. Puck drops at 5. Hockey night in Utah starts at 4 here on The Zone. Coming up, we'll talk with Mike Folta about that. Utah Mammoth radio voice will join us at 8 o'clock. And Mark Durrant, BYU basketball radio analyst, talk about last night's game and where the Cougars go from here. That's coming up at 9 o'clock. It's also a Jazz Ticket Tuesday. We got a pair of tickets to watch the Jazz take on Egor Deman. No.
Dielman.
Egor Dielman and the Brooklyn Nets Friday night at the Delta Center. That's coming up at 8:30 and 9:30. So stick around for that. The question of the day is next. Don't miss your chance to win big every week on the KSL Sports Zone. This week, win tickets to see Pro Bowl riders unleash the Beast Tour at the Delta Center on February 6th. Get your tickets today at SeatGeek.com or listen to the KSL Sports Zone all day Wednesday for your chance to win. Despite a frantic comeback, BYU loses to Arizona. What's your view? A great rally or just another loss to a ranked team? Chris, great comeback. Gotta try and get the offense in a better flow. Too much ISO ball. I'm going to hold the ball, look at you, and try to take you one-on-one. Not the first time we've seen that. They're so talented. It has worked in other games, but didn't work against Arizona.
Yeah, I think that you felt, you could feel DeBonsa feeling like, okay, this is my moment.
I'm supposed to take over now.
Yeah, and I'm going to go nuts. And, you did it against Utah, but no offense, Utah's not Arizona right now, and hopefully Alex can get that thing going. And so it's easier, and you hit some shots, and it was a front running, and the crowd was going nuts. And here, the game was slipping away, the crowd was on edge. And you were almost to the point of trying too hard. You were squeezing the bat.
Yes, I like that analogy.
A little bit too much.
Right.
And you were forcing the action.
I thought they came out in the second half knowing, hey, we got to make a run here. And, okay, this is the time to get the crowd. And they hit a shot, and they get a stop, and they hit a shot. But, man, then Arizona just, the spine stiffens, and they score in a couple possessions. I thought they had a pretty tough shot in there. It's like all the air went out of the crowd in BYU.
Right. The situation, big Monday, no other games. No one's watching the NBA.
It was you, front and center.
Yeah, no NFL.
You're not tucked away on ESPN2 or FS1. You're on the big dog.
Right.
Prime time in the East.
Yeah, and it was going to be their lead story after the game, and they were leading up to it, all that, watching the Duke-Louisville game, all that, halftime, that's what they were talking about. And so it was a big deal. It was, and I think that for Arizona, now they got a lot of freshmen, but I think as a program, Arizona's used to being on that stage. And they're 21-0, tied their best start, I think 2013-14 they did it. BYU's sort of a new kid here, at home, pressure to win. You coming off I realize it's not the very last game, but the last time you played a ranked team, you tripped over yourself down the stretch in Lubbock. So you put all that stuff together, and I think it created an undue amount of pressure, and you could feel it. The comeback would have been one for the ages if they were to pull it off. I mean, when they got the ball with only down one, I was like, oh my gosh, let's do this. I
know, right?
It would have just been an unbelievable story. Rob Wright, he's too small to be going into the basket like that against that level of competition, which has all sorts of, the Arizona's got 7'2" guys and their guards. Burries, I think, who blocked the shot. He's 6'4". Wright is generously listed at 6'1". And so you put all that stuff in there, and I think it was just too much for BYU. BYU is an extremely flawed team, as are most teams, but we're talking about our team that we cover here.
And we're holding them up against the standard of Final Four.
Yeah, and that's what they said. DeBonsa, he was interviewed over the summer at the Summer League, and he said, it's we want to win it, go to the final, and that's their goal. And I got nothing wrong with having that goal. Set the goal as high as you can, and maybe they can pull it off. But I think under the circumstances that it was just too much for them in the moment. Now, they still have 6-7 weeks before the tournament starts. So you have an opportunity to do something. I mean, he's going to have to develop the bench. We can sit here and say, oh, well, Pickens and Baker are out, woe is us, or you can develop the bench. What's it going to be?
Well, in my world, you just sit around and moan and complain. But I suppose with the millions he's getting, it would be better if he developed the bench.
Yeah. And so this Costy kid
and
came in, hit a couple of threes.
Yeah, and players improve over the course of the season. Yeah. And it's one, you don't have to develop a star here. You need to find someone who's got one or two skills. A big guy who could provide a little toughness, maybe somebody who plays a little bigger than they are.
I don't think they have anybody.
Okay.
I think that's
then
a
they
deficiency in their roster.
find a three-point shooter, so when defenses are collapsing on the stars, your feet are set, you can catch the ball and hit a shot.
Right, but they're always going to lack underneath. That's where the roster's flawed, because Pickens and Baker aren't those types of players. They could have been the greatest bench players of all time.
But they weren't going to be
Keita's
guys. Right, yeah.
Keita and Ahmed, he fouls out in 10 minutes.
Yep.
10 minutes. That's not good enough. And you didn't get him until the middle of the season. You should have known when you're putting this roster together that you need another big guy. And the Kozlowski kid, he's tall, but he's a perimeter guy. And then they realize he's out. But you lack, the roster construction has a gaping hole.
Where a big physical guy should go.
Yeah. And Keita, who doesn't love the kid? The kid's motor is incredible. He's limited, but whatever he's got, he's giving it to you every single game.
Well, he was big in that final minute. He had an offensive rebound and put back bucket, and they ran a pick and roll, and he got an alley-oop dunk.
Right.
Which is about what you expect out of him, and where his 4, 6, or 8 points.
No complaints.
And he had 6 in the game,
He's giving you everything he has. But they need another big guy. And they knew Foose was graduating. Foose was a kid who was a little on the smaller side for the position he played. But, he could go over the left shoulder and put something up. And I wonder why Young didn't go after another big guy. Not enough money left or what?
I don't know.
I mean, if you're not going to be outbid, go get me another big guy. And they had to get this kid out of the G League here, and he's limited himself. You can't.
And this is what you have. And
you can't really get another big guy who's going to be dominant. I don't know. It's DeBonza saying, "Hey, wait a second. You owe me development to get me ready for the NBA." That was the deal.
Yes, but it's about having another Keita-ish player.
Minimally, but that's what I'm saying. You're not going to get a big dude who you're going to dump the ball into him time after time. Because
the touches are going to go to the other 3 guys, especially DeBonza.
Right. DeBonza, you're going to have to live with DeBonza jacking it up. Because dad and son, that's part of the deal. And dad is right there every game.
Every game, yes. They're always showing him on TV.
Right. And so he's going to get the FGAs. that you sold. It sounds dramatic, but you basically sold your soul.
This is what you signed up for.
Him getting FGAs.
It's okay, sold your soul.
Right.
And now I feel like we're in some
It's
literary
dramatic.
masterpiece.
It's dramatic.
But when
that's
you
the
get
commitment you made
when you get a player of
took
his
him.
ability, yes, he's going to get shots. And he had 24 shots and he had 16 free throws. So you can tell how much he's going to have the ball in his hands.
Right.
But you don't get somebody like that to play him off the ball a lot.
No. I mean,
the shot distribution.
you're not going to take him out if he takes a bad shot.
Right. The shot distribution, 11 for Saunders, 16 for Wright, and 24 for DeBonsa, not that far off. You just want better productivity, more efficiency. You want to make more shots. And the other guys are there, when you're open. Boscovich, 2 of 5, 1 of 4 from 3. That's what I expect. Davis was hot, obviously. But I wouldn't expect him to get more than I wouldn't expect him to get more than 9 shots.
Do I really need DeBonsa to shoot 8 threes? He's not a three-point shooter.
No.
But yet the point I'm making is you can't take him out because that's a bad shot.
No.
Because you signed on with Pops that
And
he's
also-
going to fire away whenever he sees fit.
And also, you're not going to beat Arizona without him. You can sit him on the bench if you want. You're going to lose the game.
But you could, but you're not going to do that.
You're not.
But you could tell him to take better shots. But it's almost like his game is untouchable.
Well, he took lots of other shots. I mean, that's why he gets to shoot 16 free throws, and he took 16 twos. I mean, he's just going to get a lot of touches and take a lot of shots. Now, you could say within the game. The other thing, though, is he's so good in high school. Maybe in some of these international teams they talk about, but I don't even know
really played
then.
high school.
I know, exactly. So when's he been in an arena with this many people and the adrenaline pumping, and they're behind, and there are expectations that aren't being met?
Well,
I don't think he's been in that very often.
These guys have.
Huh? So we'll see if he handles it better next time.
But the point I'm making is somebody else you can get in his face. I don't think, and he's going to hear about this, I know, because he's heard about stuff that I said, and he comes back at me. But I don't think he can really.
But if he goes to the hoop,
criticize him for taking shots. It's like he's untouchable.
He is. You can tell him to go to the hoop.
Sure. But the implication is don't jack up another brick three.
Yeah.
And he can't do that. You can't.
That's why you don't say it as a negative. You say it as a positive because you can say the positives, and that's why Will Hardy talks the way he talks.
And the implication is, as I just said, don't jack up another brick from 3.
But don't say that. Tell him to go to the hoop.
But it doesn't matter what you say. It's
I think you can tell him to go to the
meaning
hoop.
behind the saying. Everybody can figure it out. I don't know that Young can really critique this guy. He can take him in the film room, but during the game, when you brought in this kid, and now you got this Branch kid who's a 5-star there. These kids are one and dones, and sure, they want to win at the college level. He wants them. I'm not questioning anybody's desire to win, but nevertheless, this is about developing the game for the NBA. That's the program that they set up. And in the NBA, you take threes.
Yep.
And can he really say, don't take that shot?
No. He has to say, he's got to say it as PK. So what you have to coach these guys now? You can't say it as a negative. You got to say it as a positive.
No. Did you watch the earlier game when the Louisville coach, a little dude, got in the face of the dude who didn't get the rebound? You can't coach DeBonsa like that.
I agree. That's why I'm saying you can't say the negative.
But yet he did. The Louisville guy did.
That meltdown, and how'd that work?
Well, they were not as good as Duke at their home floor. The point is, you have to treat DeBonsa with the kid gloves because that's the deal you arranged.
Yep.
We graced you with our presence.
We could have gone to Duke easily in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Or a bunch of other schools,
You think Majerus could have coached DeBonsa like that?
I would have loved to see that. See how that worked out.
It wouldn't have.
It would not have. You're right.
So he has free reign to do what he wants. You just have to hope what he does is the right thing.
Well, they're 17-3, and they've been
he's
riding them.
6 of 24.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I mean 17.
And 1 of 8.
They can beat Arizona State. They can beat Utah.
But when they play the Arizonas and the Michigan and Texas
and they're
Tech,
0-3, aren't they?
Texas Tech, Connecticut, and Arizona now.
Yeah. Have they played any other ranked teams?
Is Wisconsin ranked? I don't follow the rankings in college basketball, so it gets hard for me to answer. Wisconsin's been on a tear lately. I don't know if it's gotten them ranked. But to your point, there it is.
And The good thing is there's plenty of time. It's one game. Don't go crazy here. But, in conference, they played 2 ranked teams, and they lost 2 out of the 3.
Wisconsin's not ranked. Clemson is, though. So they beat Clemson.
Good. And that was
Clemson's 22.
That was a great win. And then that was Rob Wright hitting a 3, not going to the basket.
Yep. And we do have people. Well, we can get into it next. We got people.
Let's do it. Yeah,
we got
let's
two
do
people
it.
with completely opposite takes. 2 Cougar fans who saw the game completely differently. Maybe they're sitting on different sides of the arena. We'll get to that next. Stay with us.
Whirls around and down. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone is your exclusive home of the Utah Jazz. And we want to send you to the Delta Center to see the Jazz in action. Listen every Tuesday for the Jazz Ticket Tuesday Sounder at 30 past the hour, every hour, all day long. And if you're caller number 12, you'll be on your way to an upcoming game.
Buy one, you'll get one free.
It's Jazz Ticket Tuesday, every Tuesday throughout the NBA season on your radio home for the Utah Jazz. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Why did BYU lose to Arizona? What went wrong? There were many things. We were just talking about A.J. DeBonsa, 6 of 24, and 1 of 8 from 3. There were multiple takes here. Joshua should have won. Got to work on the last plays of the game. Meanwhile, JD, honestly, need to figure out how not to fall behind by large amounts. It's way too hard to overcome these deficits. They're a really good team. Arizona's defense was legit. They don't have real weaknesses. I'm more with JD there. I mean, got to work on the last plays of the game, sure. But if you're going to keep letting games come down to the last play, you've had a couple, and one time you hit a shot and one time you didn't. To your point, the shot selection probably played a major role in both of those. But honestly, you're too talented to be down by 19 or 20 points. And I forget what the margin was against Clemson, but they were down big. And that was a dramatic rally. And they're down 19 in this one. You shouldn't be down by that much. That's where you gotta look at stuff. And the calls that go for you and the calls that go against you, that's not really the thing either. You're inbounding the ball, and they're not in any organized pressure. They're just one guy looming, just kind of hanging around, seeing if he can. You can't cough the ball up in that. You got to be locked in more than that. You're Jersey king of mental toughness.
Okay, then don't have 2 lane violations either.
There's another good one. Just giving free throws away. Simple, really straightforward. And you can probably break down some of the fouls and some of the turnovers again and just say, you're not locked in. You got to be dialed in.
Okay, was Arizona not locked in then when the lead evaporates? I mean, isn't that just the nature of the game? There's runs in basketball.
There are definitely runs in basketball, and I do think it's a little bit of the nature of the game. To your point, hey, a lot of these Arizona guys haven't played in front of crowds and these kind of stakes on ESPN and all that. Did they think with 10 minutes or with 1 minute left and a 10-point lead, did they think the game was over? Yeah, I think they probably did. I think that played into it. Then they were able to make a play at the end of the game and win.
You get a little touch foul on the inbound, and the referee puts on a dramatic show as if he's on stage.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that coming up in a future segment. We've got comments about the refereeing.
That was beautiful to see. I'm not just going to call an offensive foul. I'm going to have all these gyrations and emotions.
I know.
And the whole spotlight is going to be on me as I make this call. And I'm going to make it so I get cheered.
Number one, you don't make that call in a full building against the home team for the road team.
Right.
And number two, if you do make a call that's, more clear, you don't sell it like that. Like, you might call a foul at the end of the game that makes the whole crowd mad, but you don't sell it like you blow the whistle, you raise the arm, you point at the guy and you hustle over the table. But you're stamping the foot on the floor and winding up the elbow.
He's practiced that in the mirror.
Oh, so I had a friend in college who lived across the hall, Ken Giglio, and he refereed intramural basketball games. And when he came back, and you have to ref like 4 games in a night, right? And you get your $25 or whatever you got, I don't know. And he'd come back, and the first question was always, you tee anybody up? You really sell it? And he'd tell me about it. Absolutely. And it's like, what lower level is there than refereeing, intramural basketball for a bunch of guys who played in high school and are sorry it's all over? But that was what we talked about 9 times out of 10. I got 2 of them tonight.
I think the good thing here is Kevin Young is going through a lot of first-time experiences. He hasn't been a head coach at this level. right? And he's going to develop himself in his proficiency. The game never rested on his shoulders from the coaching standpoint. And I don't care. He could have been an assistant coach in the NBA 100 years. It doesn't matter.
It's different.
Yes. And so he's going to learn from this. And I believe in Kevin Young's ability to coach basketball. So the whole goal here of this team is not to be playing your best basketball on January 26th. It is to progress. And I think he has the ability to get this team to be better. So we still have 6 weeks to go. And when we get to that 6 weeks, at that point, the team is playing its best basketball. Yep. So let Kevin Young and his 42 assistants do their thing. And they've got deficiencies, but it's up to the coaches, and particularly Kevin Young, because he puts the roster together to make sure that they can overcome them and masquerade some of those problems.
Mask them and minimize them.
Yes.
And there is a problem here. I mean, Philip, look at this. We have to get to this in
Whoa,
after
that's
the
a
guest.
book.
You know what, though? He's not wrong. This dude's all in on BYU basketball, and you'll like his take because his take has very little whining in it. There's very little complaining. He's like, this is the problem. So we'll get to that coming up at 8:30. Coming up next, always entertaining, Mike Folta joins us, radio play-by-play voice of the Utah Mammoth, coming off a 2-0 loss last night, and they got to play again tonight. Mike's next. Stay with us. DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. We are joined right now by one of our favorites, the radio play-by-play voice of the Utah Mammoth, Mike Folta. And Mike's appearances are brought to you by Hercules First Federal Credit Union, growing stronger together.
That's poolside Mike Folta.
You would hope so, man. Florida in January, if he's wasting this opportunity. First, he's probably on the phone yelling at the commissioner for making this a back-to-back. Hey, I need a little downtime in Florida, commish. Come on.
That's right. Guys, do I look tan? I was trying to make sure I bronzed up a little bit for my radio appearance with you guys.
I like the video you did in Nashville. That was awesome.
Oh, so here's the thing, right? Because it's snowing in Nashville, and which is a bummer because, you know, all the honky tonks are closed. There's really nothing, you know, fun to do. There's no sights to see when it snows in Nashville. And they had to move our game on Saturday ahead 2 hours so that we could get out of Dodge, basically. Yeah. And I know the schedule. I know that Tampa Bay, sunny and 75, is waiting for us after Nashville. And when we get done with that game, guys, I throw my headset down. There's no like post-game crosstalk like we normally do. I am sprinting to the bus and trying to rally the troops so that we can
let's go.
Get on the plane and get to Tampa Bay. And we're sitting on the tarmac as like the snow and sleet's coming in down in Nashville. And I'm like, oh my God, we're not going to make it. We're going to get stuck in frozen Nashville. And luckily, by the grace of God, we made it out. I was poolside Sunday afternoon in Tampa Bay, and all was well. But there were some teams that didn't make it out. Like the LA Kings are stuck in Columbus, or were. There were, I think Tampa even got delayed. They didn't get out of Chicago till like 3 a.m. But some crazy stuff, obviously, over the weekend with the weather. And we're laughing. We're laughing at it here in beautiful, sunny Sunrise, California. It's a cool 68 outside right now.
I like it.
Brisk. Well, the streak is over. Are you worried about that? Or, hey, sometimes the puck doesn't bounce your way. They played the right way, and the key isn't about streaks. The key is to be really good in 7, 8, 9 out of 10 games, and every once in a while, whatever. But play the right way, whether the puck bounces your way or not.
Yeah, I mean, Utah played a heck of a game last night in that loss that you said. Broke up the point streak. Mammoth had points in 9 straight before losing 2-0 last night to the Tampa Bay Lightning. I should say they lost 2-0 to Andrei Vasilevsky, who it's basically been him and Connor Hellebuck, who are kind of in a class of their own goaltending-wise the last several seasons, ever since Hellebuck became a full-time number one in the NHL 9 years ago. He leads the league in wins, save percentage, goals against, like all the big statistics that we track for NHL goaltenders. And he blanked Utah last night. we talk about analytics sometimes on the show. I know you guys are big numbers guys, but our friends over at SportLogic who track like the expected goals, right? Like based on the quality and the quantity of chances that you create, how many goals do the analytics folks expect you to score? The Mammoth had like over 4 expected goals last night and scored 0. Analytics, be darned, whatever. That is a jarring discrepancy compared to what we typically see, where you have a 4-goal gap between expected and actual. So Utah did a lot of great things. Andre Turney said as much in his post-game presser last night. You just didn't score against one of the best teams in the NHL. And I think when you have 2 teams that are playing at a high level, 2 really good teams, like, for example, if the Mammoth make the playoffs and have to play a really good team in round 1, you have 2 good teams. The difference is in the details. And the difference last night was in special teams. The Tampa Bay Lightning scored a couple of power play goals. And another big difference can be in goaltending. And Karel Vejmelka was great for Utah last night, but Vasilevsky was perfect.
That's what it boils down to. The other night, man, Clayton Keller was such a fun game against Philadelphia to see what he did there to tie it up with just under a minute to go, and then the overtime win. And you look at him, and he's on a roll, 17 points in the last 12 games in the month. I'm wondering, you want to win no matter what you're doing. That's obvious. But the opportunity to be on the Olympic team, how much do you think that was driving him? Because last year there was some disappointment. And now, you can argue clearly that he's playing the best he's ever played and is going to have this opportunity.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, PK, because last year when he didn't make the Olympic team, you look at his numbers basically after the announcement when he's all mad, and you look at his numbers before the announcement. And I'm going off the top here, but I did the math myself, so I'm pretty sure I got this right. But he was on like a 70-point pace last year before the Four Nations announcement. After the announcement, he was on a 100-point pace. So his scoring and production dramatically picked up after he learned that he was not on the Four Nations team for Team USA. We've seen kind of the same thing happen, but in a more positive light, where he did make the Olympic team. He found out on New Year's Day. The official announcement was January 2nd, but he found out on New Year's Day. And ever since the calendar turned to 2026 and Keller found out, he's been on like a 120-point pace this year. Now, that's a smaller sample size. It's less than a month's worth of games, but he's been well over a point per game here in the month of January. And just looking at his game too, the points he's picking up, like the assists he's picking up, they're not just secondary assists where you pass it to somebody, you get off the ice, that guy makes a play with the puck and somebody else scores and boom, Bob's your uncle. You have an assist out of that play somehow. No, the assists he's creating are hard plays where he's like creating space for a teammate or winning a puck battle and setting up a teammate. At one point he had multiple assists in 3 straight games for Utah here this month. And really the recent point streak that Utah had where the Mammoth won 8 out of 9 points in 9 straight, that was piloted by the captain, Clayton Keller. And really there's no better case in point than that night against Philly. Mammoth are down 3-0 against the Flyers. Keller helps lead them back. He scores with 34 seconds left in that game on just an incredible individual play, and then scores the OT winner as well. And I think that's so encouraging for me as a Utah Mammoth fan, is to see Utah's best players demanding the puck and being Utah's best players in the biggest moments. And Keller's one of those guys. Dylan Gunther's one of those guys. We saw huge plays from Schmaltz in that and Vejmelka in that win against Philly as well. But Keller took over that game, and that's hard to do in hockey, right? We might see AJ DeBonza take over a game for BYU. That's basketball. Hockey, it's a little bit harder to, take a guy one-on-one off the dribble, so to speak. Yeah. So it's great to see Utah's captain being as dominant as he has been in these late game moments, but throughout the last few weeks since he learned about his Team USA appointment as well.
Do you think, going back to your point about last season and the dramatic uptick in production, do you think the exit interview conversation, and probably conversations before that, and probably conversations after, are, hey, next season is your 27-year-old year. There are young guys in this team with a future, but you're in your prime, and you're the captain, and this team, at minimum, needs to go to the final day fighting for the playoffs, and they really need to be in. And individually, you want to be in the Olympics. And, like, the time is now. You need to be good from game one, both individually and for the group. Like, this is it. There's an old cliche coaches love, the future is now. And for Clayton Keller, it feels like that's it. This is a big season right in his prime.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, because when we were hearing at the end of last year and at the start of this year in the offseason, we were hearing that, okay, playoffs are the expectation this season. We heard that from management. We heard that from, head coach Andre Tourney, but we heard it from Clayton Keller a lot too. And it felt like he was right at the epicenter of those expectations. And there's no player that wants to be on a rebuilding team, right? I was talking with one of our broadcast cohorts, Tyson Nash, who has his own show, the Nashcast. It's an alternate feed, if you will, an alternate broadcast on SCG Plus. You can watch it the next couple nights here when the Mammoth are at home. But he had watched Clayton Keller for years in Arizona, and he made the point that, and I think this applies to Keller, but I think it applies to a lot of guys who had been with Arizona before. They had big nights before, back with Arizona while the team was rebuilding, but they had a lot of big nights when, the season was essentially over. They were out of the race and there wasn't anything to play for. Yeah. And now in the crucial stretches of the season and the back half of the season, we're seeing Keller and those other guys have their big nights when it matters most. And when really big points are on the line. And I think that's part of the excitement and part of the evolution of guys like Clayton Keller, who are now stepping up, not just in games where, okay, you get your points, you win the game, you feel better about yourself, but you're still going to miss the playoffs. No. Now these big games are coming during a push, coming when everybody is clawing and scratching for every possible point. I mean, that Philly team that Utah was battling against, like they're desperate for points too. It's a dogfight over in the Eastern Conference, and Utah just snatched 2 points away from them. And so it's been awesome to see, Keller's development as that big time player, as the captain, and as one of the leaders of this team.
It's always a positive when you win, obviously, no matter what you're doing. Do you take it even more of a positive that they're doing it without Cooley?
Oh, yeah. I mean, we've got the trade deadline coming up in early March, right after the Olympic break. And Logan Cooley is essentially going to be Utah's trade deadline acquisition, right? You're gonna trade for your most exciting player is what it's gonna feel like. There's not gonna be another team. I got to be careful saying this. I don't think there's gonna be another team that could trade for a guy who's as young and dynamic and as promising as Logan Cooley. Like, those guys just aren't up for trade, right? You find one of those guys, you hang on to him. And so the Mammoth are going to get him back. Utah is right now, I believe, 13-9-1 without Cooley. And it's crazy because when he went down, we were thinking, like, that could be the season right there. You lose your most dynamic centerman, a key position, like that could be your season. You just lost, in football, I don't know, your middle linebacker, right? You just lost your starting point guard. Like that could be curtains right there. And this team is pulled together. You have to mention Nick Schmaltz if you bring up the play without Logan Cooley. Schmaltz is one of the team's top scorers right now. He's having a career year. He's on pace for close to 30 goals, which would be a career high for him. And he has excelled at both ends of the ice. Speaking of that Philly game, if not to keep going back to that, but we saw a great example of Nick Schmaltz's two-way ability. Did you guys see this clip? Garnet Hathaway for the Flyers has an open net, he's like, PK, you could have scored that goal. and he just gets hawked down by Nick Schmaltz on a furious back check with an empty net. There was no hope for Utah. The game should have been over right there. But it was like a LeBron chase down block, basically, that Schmaltz had, stripped the puck, boom, Utah goes the other way and scores. So you have to bring up him and his transition from wing over to center, which is not easy to do. And he stepped in beautifully. And I think now it creates the conversation when Cooley does come back. Do you keep Schmaltz in the middle? I think you have to. And then, he's him and Cooley are your two top centermen. And if they keep playing, if Schmaltz keeps playing like he does, you feel really good about that combo down the middle. And center had been a position where Utah was a little bit thin coming into this season. But boy, you don't necessarily feel like it right now.
Next up, the back-to-back defending Stanley Cup champions, who, I might add, if playoffs start today on the outside looking in. Do you think that's more a case of, man, these guys have played a lot of extra hockey because they've been in the finals 3 years in a row. They've had some injuries. Do you think all that's catching up to them, or it was just bad luck, they're healthy now, and look out, Utah's playing them at the wrong time?
Yeah, I think it could be a combination of all of that. I think all of that's kind of spot on. If you talk about the Panthers, the first thing you have to talk about is the injuries. They lost their captain, Alexander Barkov, who's known as maybe the best defensive forward in the game. He's a great two-way centerman. He got hurt before the season started, so they've been without him the whole year. They've been without Matthew Tkachuk as well. He's one of their leaders, one of their top scorers. He came back just a few games ago, so he's getting up to speed. They've had a bunch of other injuries as well. Seth Jones was a big trade acquisition for him last year. He's been hurt the last month or so, and he's actually going to miss the Olympics because of his injury, so a bummer for him. Brad Marchand, another acquisition from last year who was fit in perfectly with the Rats, as they call them, in Florida. He had been missing for also about a month. He's back in the lineup, so they have Tkachuk and Marchand back. That's big for them. They've been winning a little bit here. They've won 3 straight now, and I think it's 6 of their last 8. But they're still on the outside of the cut line looking in, and it's not a case of them just earning points. They have to start passing people in the standings if they want to make the playoffs again with a chance to make a run. They're currently 4 points out of a wild card spot in the Eastern Conference, but they're 6th in their division. The Atlantic is absolutely brutal this year. So they've got to start passing people, but again, they've got 2 big pieces healthy. So it's going to be a really, really good challenge for Utah here tonight. You're playing the second game of a back-to-back. You're playing against a defending Stanley Cup champion in the Florida Panthers with a ton of guys that have that championship DNA. And you're coming in a little bit road weary as well. So great test for Utah tonight. Mammoth have never beat Florida going back to last year. They've played some good games against them. They lost by 1 goal earlier this year, but it's a tough road trip. It's a tough road trip for this team, and tonight's a big reason why.
When you said you were poolside a couple days ago, was it a Speedo Sunday?
Oh yeah, I had the leopard print out and had to get some sun on the thigh boards. I think you could see the reflection from the Hubble telescope. It was, I had a wide berth at the pool. I'll just say that.
Nobody looking for the chairs next to you.
Yeah, that's right.
All right. Well, enjoy Florida while you can, because then it's on to you go to North Carolina, where I think it's like 40 degrees. So
yeah,
that's the end of the pool time right there.
40 degrees with the Metropolitan Division leading Carolina Hurricanes waiting for us. So we're doing as much damage as we can on the road trip, but we'll try and stay safe.
All right. Thanks, Mike. We appreciate it.
Thanks,
All
guys.
right. There's a visual that we're not going to get rid of anytime soon. Good grief.
What's
All
wrong
right.
with that?
When we come back, we're not going into it. We already know what's wrong with
Have
that.
a European style and flair?
When we come back, we got BYU fans analyzing what went wrong against Arizona. We'll get to that next. Stay with us. DJ and PK, the game of the night. 13th ranked BYU, number 1 ranked Arizona. Arizona builds a 19-point lead. BYU down 10 with a minute to go, cuts it to 1 and has the ball. But Robert Wright, the third shot, gets blocked, and they lose the game by 3. The feedback, tons of it from Cougar fans after the game. Robert, great rally. Anytime you're down by 19 and come back with a chance to win, it's a great rally.
Duh.
Philip, my take is that BYU's a terrible first-half team. They have been down to probably 10 or so teams that they've played all season at halftime. I know BYU was down big to Clemson, UConn, and last night to Arizona. I watched all those games, all three by double digits. I also know they were losing to Tech, Miami, Dayton, and TCU at halftime. That's 7 off the top of my head. Now, I know they come back to win 4 of those games, and there's probably other games as well. But my point is, if BYU plays with the intensity they do in the second half of games, they would be at worst a one-loss team. Phillip has had about enough of this falling behind and bad starts and poor first halves. And that is where I think you look for trends, because in any one game, and you love this, right? You've preached both these things. Any one game, the call can go against you. Maybe a call went for you 5 or 10 minutes earlier. It's the kind of stuff that happens. I think last night was actually a great example of that. I thought they got some bad calls in the middle of the second half, and they got some help in the final minute. And maybe that stuff just cancels itself out. And then you're also the king of, hey, sometimes shots fall and sometimes they don't. But there's no reason to start as poorly as they've started against as many teams as they've started poorly against. If they're looking for an area where there's a pattern and there's something they can control, the effort and the energy they play with earlier in games be a big deal.
Well, maybe they're not good enough.
Maybe that's it, but there are too many comebacks. I think they are good enough.
And how much of that is on the other team taking the foot off the gas? Because they got a big lead. You're dealing with kids. You're not dealing with seasoned pros here.
I think Arizona is a team that we can point to and say, hey, they were up 10 with a minute ago and they thought it was over and they took the foot off the gas. I buy it last night. I don't buy it all season long because BYU's got DeBonsa and he's just so hyped and other kids want to play against him. I don't think they take the foot off the gas. I think they're all trying to show they know it's a big game for a lot of teams when they're playing BYU. I think there's a little bit of BYU is a lot better than a lot of other teams. And they know it, and that's why they start poorly, and it's a poor habit that really only bites them when they play the best teams, which we were talking about this earlier, and you're like, what's their record against ranked teams? And that shifts as teams falling out of the ranking, but right now it looks like they're 1-3.
There's no question that the deficits in the first half have been a pattern. You can't argue that.
I think it goes to another one of your theories, and I was just going to let you have it, but I'm going to switch over to Team Kinahan now. I think it might go back to the lack of depth here. Like you're asking guys to stay dialed in the whole time, which that is what we want, and that is what is expected, and they're being well compensated now, which we didn't used to say, but now we do. And so stay dialed in, but realistically, you think 7 really good players, which I think Arizona has, were able to give a more consistent effort than 3 really good players. Yeah, I'm not surprised. That makes perfect sense to me. Guys aren't locked in playing at their best all the time. You want it, you push for it, you coach it. The players, especially the lean players, should be trying to demand it of the other guys. But realistically, if you have 7 guys, you can sub a guy out who, for whatever reason, maybe it's a mental thing, Jerry Sloan, you say, never what's going on in someone's life. Maybe sometimes his shots aren't falling. Maybe it's a bad matchup for a guy as talented as one night. But over here, they got 3 guys. You're not pulling them from the game. That's crazy. The drop-off from DeBansa to the next guy is mammoth. Whereas Arizona, they got quality. It keeps going. And they always have a couple good players on the bench. And I think that may play into it. I mean, I think they need to make a focus of starting better. But a lot of times they do come back, and it doesn't matter. And they're riding 3 guys pretty hard here. So it's not ideal, and it is a problem. Phillip, you're not wrong. But is it realistic to think these guys are going to bring it while Arizona's rotating fresh guys through against them?
They haven't played a game yet where it's really mattered.
That is the nature of college basketball. You've been beating that drum too. Like whatever you do now will be trumped. You said earlier this morning, and I didn't argue with you because you're spot on. If you peak and play your best basketball on January 26th, you're just set up for disappointment. Right. You're a guy or a team or whatever who can't coach in the biggest games or shoot in the biggest games or defend in the biggest games, or as a group, you aren't good enough in the biggest game. So you got to allow for this continued growth because if you don't get it, you're going to be furious. I mean, every fan base gets upset with that.
Right. So how do I know that Saturday in March they're going to come out slow? Because I'm assuming they're going to, on the Thursday in March, they're going to win.
Because you're looking at the first round game where they're a 2, 3, 4 seed, and they're going to beat a whatever that is, 15, 14, 13
They're going to
seed.
roll over that
Right.
team, and then
Saturday they're playing the
Saturday is when it really matters.
Right. Saturday they're playing the teams that tend to be in the others receiving votes. That's where Wisconsin might pop up.
Right.
That's where they are now. That's where Utah State is right now.
So what are they going to do then? How do I know that they're going to start slow then? I don't.
Right.
And how do I know the following Thursday they're going to start slow? If they do, it could be devastating. But ultimately, that's when it matters the most.
Yep, that's
and
what
this
we
team
remember.
hasn't played a game where it matters the most.
The Utes went to the Final Four, and nobody cares what the regular season conference record was. I think they won the regular season title that year and went out in the first round of the conference tournament. It's all a footnote because what everybody remembers is winning the Sweet 16 game when West Virginia missed a shot right at the end and just pounding Arizona in the Elite Eight. I mean, these games just dwarf all the other stuff that happened.
So that's what they need to figure out is how to continue to progress. And they've got some holes, they've got some flaws, and how to cover up those holes and those flaws. I don't know that they can because they're not going to have another big man. That was a flaw in the roster construction. They need another big guy. They went into the season with one freaking big guy. they had to acquire a guy during the season.
On the waiver wire.
Yeah.
Which college coaches have joked about our entire lives. We don't get to do that. I've heard Kyle Whittingham say that a million times. He loved that line. And now all of a sudden, college basketball coaches do get to do that.
Yeah. They can. The G League or Europe.
Right.
We'll see if those loopholes get closed. But for now, so they acquire a guy who's in his 5th game, maybe 6th game. And so they've got these games here to work out. You want to win. Of course you want to win. You want to get the best seed possible. But I don't think it's catastrophic along the way. It may ultimately end up being, but that's where the coaching, and they've got a slew of guys sitting there all wearing the same color pullover. And so go to work on making that team better and fixing where it needs to be fixed. And they've got a little bit of time here. They still have a good 5 weeks before they really need to hone in on it. Can they do it? Maybe.
Time will tell.
Yeah. But, we're looking at Sweet 16, Elite 8. Yeah, I feel better about that. Final 4, not as good. Final 2, not as good. Final 1, not as good.
Okay, and a few years San Diego State was there, and I didn't see it coming at all. They blasted Alabama in the round of 16.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, it'd be an upset if you won, but upsets happen in the tournament all the time. So when I watched the game, I knew there was a chance. Never did I think they were going to run them off the court. And a year ago, there were all kinds of flaws with BYU basketball in early January. Now we're in late January. But they fixed a lot of them by the time they got to February and March. So we'll see if this team trends the way that trend.
But there's going to have to be upsets.
There always are.
You don't. Well, I'm talking about when they play the best of the best.
Oh, because you don't want to.
They're not good enough.
You don't want to be the 3 seed and have the region go according to form, and then have them have to beat the 2 seed in the Sweet 16 and the 1 seed in the Elite 8.
Right. I don't think they're good enough
to do that back to back.
A lot of these teams that are ranked ahead of them. But if they put together a sensational individual game on a 1-game basis, they can do it. What is DeBonsa? What did he go? 6 of 15 against Tech, something like that. 7 of 6. I think it was 7 of 16,
really?
and then 6 of 24. Well, what is that in their 2 losses?
Let me get those. It was 6 of 17.
Right.
And he's 6 of 24, so that's 12 of 41.
Well, that's not good enough.
Right.
And then he's got to find a way. Okay, you're the best player. You're going to be a top 2 or 3 pick, but don't force 1-on-5. Don't just think you need to start jacking it up. If the team gets itself into a 7-point deficit, you can see it in his face. Hey, we're down. I better start shooting more. And I'm going to run to the basket, and I'm going to go up against 7-2 guys that Arizona can throw out there, and I'm going to put up some stuff that isn't probable, and then I'm going to flail my arms and act like I am just stunned. It's preposterous that I didn't get the foul call. I saw that way too many times against Arizona. Yep. Stop doing that. Put your head down and get your butt back on defense. You didn't get the call. Live with it. Knock it off.
That is the part. And get back on defense. In these games they've lost, not only have there been scoring issues, and we always go to that, right? But like, if you're losing 86-83 and 86-84, don't you need a few more stops?
Let Kevin Young beg for calls. That's what that's what coaches do.
Right.
He needs to stop doing that right now. He went to the hoop several times. He got knocked down even, and he's extending both arms like, oh my gosh, can you believe it?
And if
I can believe it.
And if you're not getting the call and the ball's in bounds, now it's 5-on-4 the other way. And stop giving up 86 points and thinking you're going to win.
Let Kevin Young handle that. You don't need to show emotion like, where was the call? Who the hell are you to be thinking that you can get away with that?
He's the
You've
future
not
number one
accomplished
pick.
anything.
He's the star. And he's looked up to all these guys who do it in the NBA, and it's been a plague in the NBA for 40 years since Magic was accused of reffing his own games. I know that.
Put your head down, hustle back on defense, and get him the next time on offense. And if Kevin Young, I love it when he's a little dude, goes storming down with his hands behind his back so he's not flailing his arms to get a tee, and do the Bobby Hurley thing where you put your hands behind your back and you just go crazy. Go ahead. That's part of coaching, is to work the referees. I've got zero problem with him doing that. But the player, like, oh, woe is me, I didn't get the call. You went to the line 16 times and you didn't get the call? You want every call every time? You're not going to get that. But that's part of the maturation process. He's still a young kid, no matter how rich he is, right? And he'll learn that. And that's what Kevin Young needs to tell him, or one of the 47 assistants needs to say, hey, don't do that. Stop that. You're not going to get every call. You went to the line 16 times. What's the next guy who went to the line in that game? What's the next most free throws? You're a box score guy. I'm sure you got it up right now.
I don't. I'm calling it up.
Look it
That's
up.
why I'm
you
pausing.
should always have the box score.
No.
I count on you on the box score. I give you emotional, irrational feelings. You give me technical, black and white stats.
Braden Burry's 14 free throws. As far as BYU, he shot 16 of the 19. There were only 3 other free throws.
Yeah.
Cada shot 1 and Saunders shot 2. And
but these are
that's
all things that are in the developmental stage. And it won't manifest the ultimate level of importance until March.
It never does. But we want signs along the way.
Well, I think we're getting signs along the way. I mean, they had a 9-point lead against Tech, and it slipped away, obviously. And they had the ball with a chance to win the game. If you would have said to them yesterday morning, hey, you'll have a chance to win the game with 10 seconds to go, you've got the ball against Arizona, the number 1 ranked team who's won 21 games in a row now. At the point of that point, I think it was 20. And would you take that? I'm pretty sure I would say yeah.
Probably yes. Yeah.
The only thing you would want is Saunders in the game.
And he had fouled out, so he's not in the game.
Right. Because you want another option.
Right.
And he's a very good option.
All right, DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Mark Durrant, BYU basketball radio analyst at the top of the hour to talk more about this game. DJ and PK, the Utah Jazz back in action tonight. We will get to that next. Stay with us.
This is JJ and Alex.
I got this. Joining us on the program right now, he's Bill Bender. He writes for Sporting News.
How do people replicate what Indiana's doing, or is it really that difficult to replicate what Curt Cignetti and Indiana has done in just 2 years?
People will try, but the thing for me is it's about Cignetti himself. Yes, he worked the portal, but so has TCU and Louisville and Colorado, and yes, he rebuilt this program in a hurry, but I think a lot of it's a reflection of Curt Cignetti, the talent evaluator. One point I was trying to make is I think he's going to end up regretting saying saying Google me because that's all people are going to want to know, right? And there's so much more to him than that. I don't think Indiana's going away. I think you're going to bring in this next portal class. They're going to recruit a little better. You're going to see it because I think he's that guy as the coach. If that continues, you're looking at a program that should be able to be pretty good next year.
Catch JJ and Alex afternoons from 3 to 7 on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. PK, we got new rules. When can you sit a player? When can you not sit a player? It's a national TV game tonight. I think some of these rules kick in. And Markkanen might be back. How about that?
Well, so I'll give you Markkanen, but I'll take away the Nurk man, the triple-double machine, and Keontae George, which, I get it. You're trying to lose, man. What's the point of saying, well, what are you doing? I know what they're doing. We all know what they're doing.
We know
it's
exactly.
too important not to do it. And so George gets a rest. I mean, he's gassed. He played a basketball game 3 days ago. And
he might score 35 and they might win the game.
Okay, and now, Ace Bailey, here's your chance. There's a lot of FGAs.
He stayed up late last night watching BYU basketball play in person. So
yeah.
Long commute home.
Yeah. Faux show. Who wouldn't need a break? I mean, we're just having fun with it. They're trying to lose, man. They got no choice. I don't blame the Jazz in the least. This is the system that was created. And until they change the freaking system, I don't want to hear jack squat out of the NBA office. All you got to do is make it everybody has the same equal chance. And that's it. You've done. It's over. You've eliminated the tanking.
Might have created another problem, but you've eliminated the tanking problem.
What problem?
That really good teams or L.A. or New York or whatever might get more picks than teams that are down.
Great,
and the whole
they can draft Enes
theory.
Kanter. They can draft Adam Morrison. They can draft Marvin Bagley Jr. And they can draft DeAndre Ayton. It ain't about necessarily the location of the pick. It's about the player that you take with the pick. You understand me?
I do understand you. I actually thought of you while I was watching the BYU game last night. There was a free throw commercial break or whatever, and I'm looking at my phone, and I don't know what's going on because I'm not following the NBA. The Jazz were off. But all I see is this tweet. J.J. Redick looks like he wants to strangle DeAndre Ayton in front of 18,000. And I thought, well, PK would be like, Ayton frustrated a coach. What are the odds?
Well, yeah, and you acquired him thinking he was going to be different?
No.
If a snake you pet a snake and it bites you, whose fault is that?
Yeah, it's a snake.
DeAndre Ayton is a dog. He's going to give you minimal effort, and he get a maximum deal.
He'll do just enough to show you that he has a lot of potential, but he will not live up to the potential.
Well, what's he in his fifth year in the league? He's the same year as Doncic.
Yeah.
They got Doncic, so they should be happy.
Keontae, it all worked out for the Lakers. Keontae went for 43 points against Minnesota in the first game of the 6-game homestand. And if you play out the rest of the season, how many wins the Jazz can afford? They cannot afford 3 wins on this homestand. And they got Brooklyn coming up, which is obviously a winnable game. And they already beat Minnesota, which I think they thought they were going to lose that game. So they had Markkanen sitting, but they played Nurkic and they played Keontae.
He had the flu.
And
the statues never got sick.
Nurkic
want their doctors.
Nurkic went for a triple-double, and Keontae went for 43, and the Jazz won. And so that's why we're going to get what we get tonight.
Well,
so
this is Sensabaugh and Ace Bailey's opportunity to
unless Sensabaugh hits some shots, and if he gets hot, and then you're wondering why he's sitting, don't wonder why he's sitting. You'll know why. He hits 3 threes. They're going to have to get him out of there. Sensabaugh's feeling it.
And it stinks. I understand it.
Mm-hmm.
But they didn't create this system. They're playing by it. And this is the best way to get better.
They didn't create the system, and they didn't make the trade that put them in this predicament.
Well, they did make the trade that put
the Jazz did, but Austin and Danny didn't. As far as doing the bringing Favors back and then having to send him away.
Oh,
again.
okay, yeah, but they made the trades to get rid of the All-Stars.
Oh, yeah. That
so
part,
it's on
yes.
them.
That part, yes. But I was thinking of the fact that this pick could go to Oklahoma City. That's on the Derek Favors deal.
That is true, yes.
Yeah.
But even still, would they be trying to win games? With or without this protected pick, the possibility of losing it, would they be trying to win
that'd
games?
be interesting
Does that
because
changes anything this year?
What wouldn't change is that this draft class is still very highly thought of. And so maybe it wouldn't change because they'd be thinking we have to increase our odds of getting one of the best 3 or 4 players in this draft.
You have to hit on 3 drafts. You have to hit on Stockton. You have to hit on Letter Carrier, and you have to hit on Thurl.
And that is how they got the thing rolling.
Yes. And then you go from there.
Yeah.
And the good thing about then you go from there, the Jazz have already gone from there. They have those types of players on the roster right now, I believe. They have those secondary guys who can help.
They need the star at the top of the roster.
Yeah.
They need their big 3. Right now, best case scenario, you can say it'll be Markkanen, it'll be Bailey, and it'll be Keontae.
Well, it depends on what level of star. If
And
you
how
have
far
an
would that-
elite star, I don't necessarily know that you need a big 3.
Then you can do it with 2.
And then they've got rotational guys. I don't think there's any doubt about that.
Yeah. Even the Warriors, who've had the last dynasty in the league, like Draymond was one of the big 3 because he did a pivotal role, but he's not your traditional star when you think of big 3. Now, his ability to match up with lots of different players helped them in the playoffs big time. He could defend lots of different types of players.
And they had a great big 2.
They had a great big 2, to your point. So their third could be unconventional.
It was elite.
Yeah. Their
Arguably the best backcourt of all time. Although
Chris?
I'm preferential to Gail Goodrich and Jerry West.
You are not.
What do you mean I am not?
you just
okay,
saying that.
How about this one? And this is what I grew up watching.
Magic and anybody.
Magic and anybody.
Magic and whoever's next to him.
No, I'm going way back.
You're going to go to New York. That's before my time. I don't remember watching those guys, but I've read, I've looked at the stats, I've heard people talk about them.
I'm going Monroe.
I heard
Frazier.
Kevin O'Connor talk about them, and he said a lot of nice things about them.
I had a little
He's
black
like,
and white TV as a 7-year-old.
Yeah. He was like, "Oh, those guys,
And I watched
those
them.
guys.
Yeah.
They didn't win championships by accident back in the day.
Right.
Were they together for the first one? Were they together for both of them, or only the second one?
I
I'm not
believe
sure.
both.
Okay.
But I have double check.
Yeah.
And the Pearl had to sacrifice his game. You want style, you had flair. That fella had it.
DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Yak, you want to give us some tickets that we should have already given away? Let's do it. Jazz Ticket Tuesday. Jazz Nets Friday night. Agor, say it with me, Yak. Dealman.
Dealman, yeah.
Dealman. There's an invisible O in there. Dealman. Agor, the former Cougar, is back at the Delta Center Friday night. We got 2 tickets now. We'll give away, if you don't win now, we'll give away another pair of tickets at 9:30. DJ and PK. Coming up next, we're talking Cougar hoops with Mark Durrant. What are his takeaways after the Arizona game? Stay with us. DJ PK, and it is time to welcome Mark Durrant back to the show, BYU basketball radio analyst. Mark, good morning.
Hey, good morning, guys. Always a pleasure to talk to you two.
Always a pleasure to have you on. That was quite a game. That was quite a scene. I am curious, as you process it all, put the headset down, drive home, what is the major takeaway?
Yeah, I mean, it was a heck of a game, really. And I had high expectations coming in. BYU started well, had a stretch where they turned it over, and Arizona got going for a minute, opened up a lead, and I thought, well, you know, it's just not going to happen for BYU tonight, and that's okay. Arizona's really good, and try and get better from it. So I kind of consigned myself to a loss, and BYU got it going the last couple minutes, and somehow, miraculously, had a chance to win the game. And if they would have won that game, that would have been just an all-time comeback against the number one team in the country on your home floor. It just would have been amazing. And so that made it hurt a little bit more to get so close and then not win the game. But with all that said, I mean, BYU did not play great. You know, credit them for having a chance at the end and getting back into it. But my takeaway is that Arizona's really good. My takeaway is that BYU is really good as well, but has a little work to do to be able to win those games against the very best teams. But certainly BYU can compete against the very best teams in the country, and they need to get a little bit better to have a real hope in March. But I like this team, and if AJ and Rob Wright had a little better game, you had some good help from BYU's bench, and Moo Davis had a good game, so that's a positive sign. But it's hard to win against the best team in the country when your best players aren't quite at their best, and that happens. So you just have got another great opportunity Saturday on the road at Fog Allen with a ranked Kansas team. So there's missed opportunities, but in this league, there's always more opportunities. So you just try and get better.
One of the reasons I like talking to you, Mark, and I've known you for many years, and we've had many conversations about basketball and other things along the time, is that, you're as blue as they come. You don't make any bones about it. But at the same time, you can have a level of objectivity, which means that you're okay with a form of criticism of the team. And so with that in mind, as you review this game, you talked about the turnovers, and that was obviously something in the first half that had allowed Arizona to feel good about themselves and get the momentum. The second half, the final 2 minutes was about as crazy as I've ever seen. One of my critiques would be for AJ. He's the man. There's no doubt about it. A supreme talent. But maybe don't try to take over as much, because I don't like his shot selection all the time, and everybody's going to take bad shots, but it seemed like there was a couple of times, maybe even more, where he's driving to the basket and he doesn't get the foul, so he raises his arms, and meanwhile the guys are going the other end. So work on your shot selection a little bit more, and if you don't get the foul, put your head down and get back on defense. You did get 16 free throws. What do you think of that as far as my observation?
No, I think that's fair. AJ's in a tough spot where he's good enough to take over a game, but he's super young. He's got to recognize when it might be more judicious and helpful for the team to get other people involved. But part of the problem is a problem that I never experienced was that usually he's really good at taking over games and hitting the tough shots, and has done it many times. Obviously did it the other night against Utah. Did it in the comeback to UConn. So I think in a lot of ways he thinks in order for this team to be able to come back, I need to do it. And, again, he's young, he's learning. It was not his night. And so he's got to learn when to do it and when not to do it, when to force it, when not to force it. And recognize who he's trying to do things again. This is Arizona, the top defensive team in the country, so they got a great coach. They know, and that coach has coached you over the summer in for the USA team, and so they're going to have better ways and good ways of making life very difficult for you. So typically, though, AJ does that from time to time, but he doesn't do that all the time. I think actually he's very efficient. He's not a black hole when the ball comes to him for the most part, and it helps his teammates and cares about his teammates, and other guys get involved. But I think that's a valid criticism of last night, because his shot wasn't there. So to force it and to try to do too much was probably a bit of a mistake last night. And, listen, I get in trouble sometimes for saying negative things and being critical, but my philosophy, and I think yours is, Pat, is that, I'm not saying anything that I don't think the player himself would acknowledge. And these guys know when they make a good play and when they make a mistake and when they don't play well. And I think it would be disingenuous to point out things that are fairly obvious and not accept reality. I think that's how you get better, is to get, constructive criticism and learn. AJ is going to be probably an NBA All-Star and maybe Hall of Famer, but he's 18. He's got to learn some things. He's got to learn how teams play him and in certain situations what's best, and I think he will. And he's already shown that he's quite a generational talent and amazing what he can do. But even those guys can learn and get better.
All right, so here's maybe something else that needs to be talked about because it's pretty obvious and it's clearly factually true and it's clearly biting BYU in the butt 3 times this year in each of the losses. And that is, we can talk about the box score, we can ooh and ah about the dunks and the shot making, but BYU is 15-0 when they hold teams under 80 points, and they're 2-3 when they don't. And I know 3 of those teams are much better than a lot of teams they played. I get that. But, Mark, there was an era, and you played in it, and you broadcast games in it too, wasn't that long ago, where 70 points was the magic number. If you didn't score 70, you probably lost. If you defended and held the other team under 70, you probably won. There's more three-pointers now. The games maybe played a little higher tempo, so that number creeps up towards 80. But when you're facing a team with a ton of firepower, you've got to be able to inbound the basketball when there's no press and there's just one guy lurking. You can't commit 2 lane violations. If you hold Arizona under 80, you might win the game. It's 2-3. You can't give up 80 points. They got to fix that.
Yeah, this team has been a bit mercurial defensively. At times they can be very good, and at times, they do struggle. When we had Coach Young on our show after the game, his main complaint was the defense in the second half and some mistakes that they had made. And yeah, you're right though on the just the little mistakes in a close game. You can't afford to have them. And that inbounds pass for the layup or those lane violations. That's 4 points, and you lose a game by 3. You can do that with any game, really. Though you can kind of nitpick, but the reality is that's there, and maybe you foul too much. Arizona, makes 14 more free throws than BYU in that game. That's a big deal in a 3-point game, and so certainly I think this is a good defensive team when they're focused and aggressive. But they have had some slippages, and I think the second half where they really desperately needed stops, they weren't at their best at times. But again, with all that said, they're able to come back in that game, and so they're doing a lot of good things. But certainly for the great teams, if you want to be great, you can't have that kind of slippage. And so hopefully BYU can get better at those things. I think of this team last year at this time, obviously it's a different team in this world from year to year, but last year at this time, they were really struggling, and in March they were great and got much better. So hopefully this team can figure out some of those things, take care of the ball a little bit better, not make as many mistakes. And in March, so you hate losing games, but I'd rather lose them in January. And if they can figure out a way to win this same game in March, that's all I care about. But you have to get better and you have to learn.
Yeah, that's just the reality of this team here. We're going to be living with the highs and lows, and because of the conference, you're going to have a couple of lows. It's just built in, right? Maybe Arizona escapes, but Iowa State, Kansas, and these ranked teams, they're going to suffer some defeats, and BYU obviously already has 2. But at the same time, once we get I was telling DJ earlier, once we get to that Saturday in March, which means I'm assuming they're going to win the first round game on the Thursday. I'd be shocked if they didn't. It's like, okay, now that's when it really matters. All those slow starts that were weeks ago, or all the turnovers or missed shots or whatever, none of that matters at that point. It's what you do from the second round on, which is a pretty good spot to be in. That means you've got a good team, and we have a level of evidence that I thought Kevin Young, in the coaching that he did from this point on last year, was awesome. So I have a level of confidence that these issues that are there can get ironed out, and this team can make a decent run. You get to the third round and the fourth round, and then it depends on matchups. But I have a level of confidence that this team can be where it needs to be at that time in the second week of March, and then we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I agree with that. This is obviously would have been really cool to get that win, like I said, but people talk about wins in March in tournaments. They don't necessarily talk about, oh, you had that great win in the middle of the season.
Right.
It's nice. It helps you, but that's how his history will look at you, what games you win in those situations. So you're right. I have nothing in my objective, critical mind. I really don't have a lot of things to say about Kevin Young. I've just been so impressed with him. I think he's a good great basketball mind, really. He's a good motivator, great recruiter. And I think this team will get better. And you've got really good players. I think they need a little more help from guys like Moo Davis, who came out of a real bad funk last night with 5 threes in the second half. And so I do think they can get better. They've got the coach to get better, and I think they will. And so there's a couple bars you have to kind of meet to be a top team in the country. One is you just have to be able to compete against the top teams, and I think BYU's shown they can against the Arizonas and UConns and even Texas Tech. I mean, they're on the road against a really good Texas Tech team. They're up 9 with 10 minutes to go. So they've shown that they compete. Now they got to get better and show that they can actually win those games. So when they are in the semis in Kansas City or in the first or second round of the tournament, that if they're in one of those games, that they can not just compete, that they can win. And hopefully you've got a month or two to get there, and BYU showed, at least in a small subset of games, that they could do it last year. So I have an expectation that they can do it this year.
Well, they certainly made progress as the season went along last year. So, we'll see if Kevin Young and the coaching staff can coax stuff out of this team that maybe we haven't seen yet, but maybe it's still in there somewhere, because that's how it played out a year ago. And one of those things is just the depth down the bench, and I'm wondering if there's one or two guys you're looking at thinking, he's not there right now, but maybe that guy can be ready to make some plays in March.
Yeah, so the way I look at this team is you've got the 3 guys, AJ and Rob and Richie, and although that was an anomaly really for Rob and AJ to struggle like they did last night. So, but generally speaking, you're going to get some good performances out of them. That's been the case. They score 2/3 of BYU's points. So you kind of assume that's where those guys are going to be for most nights. And Keita is a proven commodity. He's going to get 6 to 10 points. He's going to be a dominant force in the paint. But this Beto Ahmed has been really good and has been nice. And against teams like Arizona, that the bigs against Arizona did a really nice job. I thought they did a great job against Pete. And so you've got a solid 5 spot. But then Moo Davis has the ability to really make an impact on this team more than anybody. If he can play like he did last night, then he can really help this team. And then you look for anybody else that can contribute. Mihailo Boskovic has looked really good as of late, and he's got size and can stretch the defense, which BYU desperately needs. Alexei Kostic, who has really struggled this year, was awesome last night. He hit a couple big threes. So if he can get some confidence, if you can add a sharpshooter to that mix, that's really what BYU needs. Is when teams are taking away the big 3, you got to have guys that punish the defense for doing that. If you're going to commit all your resources to stopping those guys, you have to have somebody who can just hit an open 3. And Kostic is a good shooter, and if he can get some confidence, that would really help. I really like Kadeem Boop. I think his upside is great. So you've got guys that can get a lot better and can contribute a lot more to those big 3. And I think that's where the improvement for the team can get, is just in that 6, 7, 8 spot. You look at Arizona, and they've got that 6, 7, and 8 guys. They're really talented and can hurt you at that depth level. And so BYU's got to find at least 1 or 2 guys to help to take some of the pressure off the big 3.
Rob Wright, I think, is a point guard that in my 30 years of following BYU basketball, I don't think they've had, right? His ability to break down a defense is incredible. But I think he's generously listed at 6'1", and he's about 180 pounds. So obviously he's not that big. What do you think about, and we saw it in the final possession against Arizona, next to last anyway, the opportunity of breaking down your guy, but being as small as you are, going up against these teams that usually have a lot of size, or even the guard, Barry's is 6'4", came in and I think he blocked the shot there on the weak side. Is there any way that as he breaks down the defense, rather than trying to finish, because I think he's had some problems finishing, go with a floater or maybe look to kick to a shooter on the wing?
That has been a problem for Rob, but I do think he is getting better. That floater is really nice for him. Earlier in the season, he'd beat his man. He'd try to score it at the rim and would get a shot blocked or missed layups because it was contested. So I think he's learning. He's getting better at not forcing it when he does beat his man, because he's as good as I've ever seen at getting in the paint.
Yeah,
I mean, if he wants to get in the paint with his handle, he looks like Pat Kinahan out there with his handle, and he can blow anybody by anybody.
Love handles.
Yeah, I love your handles. Yeah, and so he can get better in his decision making on when to shoot that floater, when to kick it. My preference last night would have had to get the ball to AJ's hands, and I think they tried to do that. But I liked Rob. I thought Rob got to a good spot, and he had cleared his man, and the big for Arizona wasn't going to block his shot. So I think he thought he was in the clear a little bit. But a heck of a play by Burries to come off the perimeter, recognize what was happening, and block that shot. I don't think it was a bad shot or a bad play, but you're right. I mean, one of the reasons you want it in AJ's hands is because if he's in the paint, he's not going to get blocked because he's so long, and so he's either going to get fouled or have a shot. So that would have been ideal, but I think that is an area for growth for Rob, is using that great ability to get in the paint just to make a little bit better decisions when you are in the paint. But I love Rob Wright. I mean, he has been so great to watch this year, and it wasn't a great night for him last night, but he has been the most consistent guy all year long for BYU and making big shots. Obviously made that game winner at Clemson. So I love the ball in his hands, but he can get better with decision making in the paint.
Next up, Kansas, another ranked team. This will be a road game, and there were a lot of NBA people at that Arizona game. I don't know if you got a chance to talk to any of them, if they gave you any hint of what they thought the draft order might be, not even knowing which teams are going to have those draft picks now. It's super early. I kind of think AJ is going to go 1 because Peterson's only played 10 out of 20 games, and I think that's going to scare people, and it's not clear to me that he's going to play against BYU either.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's probably a frustrating thing for Coach Self to have that kind of weapon and not know when he can use it. But he's obviously very good, and I'm probably biased and have seen AJ so much I can't imagine not picking him. But because I think his size and athleticism and his ceiling is way high. So I hope he plays actually. Maybe not so much for BYU's chances, but I just kind of want to see him, and so I can gauge for myself in person. But I love the fact, it's fun watching AJ going against a Toppin or going against Dakota Pete last night one-on-one, and have a chance to go against Peterson. I mean, that's fun for me as a basketball fan, just to watch these guys go head-to-head and see what they can do against each other. So, listen, one of the great basketball moments for me was going to Fog Allen. The history there, and 2 years ago, and Dallin Hall hit a big shot late, and they win that game. It was what I call one of those movie moments. It was just such a surreal experience. So I look forward to going back there. And Kansas is, they expect a lot from their teams, and they've got a good team this year, so that'll be a crazy environment. And BYU's got to find a way to get some wins against these top teams, the Texas Techs and Iowa State and Houston and Arizona and Kansas. I mean, that's who they're really competing with and against. And you've got to find some breakthrough wins. Like that was a breakthrough win for Arizona in their conference title hopes, and even if you just want to get in the top 4, you got to find a way to get some wins against these guys. So it'll be a big game for BYU, but I'm excited to watch it.
Isn't this whole thing of BYU basketball surreal for you? You go way back. You're a BYU basketball family, obviously, with your brother. We're going back 40-plus years, and as I understand, the potential top pick, a kid named Branch, who was supposed to be the top player in 27, is now reclassifying to 26. He was on a recruiting visit. This whole thing, when you step back a little bit, for a guy like you, it's got to be surreal to see where BYU basketball is being in the mix for kids that, for decades wouldn't have given BYU the time of day.
Yeah, it really is crazy, Pat. And you're one of the kind of the few that understand that history. You've been around, you're almost as old as me and been around as long. I've been watching games at BYU since 1979, and I challenge anyone who has actually seen more games in person in that period of time than me. I think I hold the record. But, I was talking with Kyle Collinsworth's dad, who was at the game, and we were reminiscing about playing at Pepperdine and Pacific in the last 20 years. And then here I am watching on the front row the potential number one draft pick in a BYU uniform against the number one team in the country having a chance to win that game. And I'm like, is this real life? Is this really happening for BYU? And having a top recruit in the country at the game, watching the game, and having a legitimate shot for these types of guys, and not just a token name, if they're nice to mention BYU, but actually having a chance to get the best players in the country. So it's really cool. And I take pride as a former player to think, the games I played in and the success we had got us to this point where, we're in one of the best leagues in the country, having a chance to, be in a top team and having a chance in the NCAA tournament. I mean, it took a lot of those years of toil and struggle to get to where we're at today. And so I love it. I mean, as a fan, it's cool. As a player, former player, it's really cool. And I think the future is pretty bright for BYU. We'll see how it goes in this world of college basketball. A lot of things can change very quickly, but right now BYU's in a good spot, and I think we'll even get better.
Can't believe you had to pick on Pepperdine and Pacific like that. I've called games in both those places. Now, I haven't been to Portland, but watching on TV, listening on the radio, I always thought for lack of environment in the WCC, it was Portland that took the cake.
Yeah, I think that's right. And listen, there's a lot of stuff I miss about the WCC. I'd rather get on a plane in a lot of ways to Malibu than to Lawrence, but there's certainly some positives there. But man, it's a fun new world BYU's in.
Yep. All right. Well, Mark, we appreciate it as always. Enjoy the trip to Lawrence, and hopefully you'll get to see another great game with about 30 NBA scouts.
Hey, appreciate it, guys. I love you guys. Thanks for always being so kind and being my friend over the years, and I appreciate you guys.
Thank you, Mark. Mark Durrant, BYU basketball radio analyst, has been good enough to join us a few times every season for years now.
Marky D.
That's like you said. He is absolutely a Cougar through and through, but he can come on and say, hey, this needs to get better if things are going to go the way everybody wants in March. And you can't just ignore what's going wrong and then think, hey, March will be great.
Right.
It doesn't work like
I've
that.
had conversations with him at airports, restaurants, cars, arenas, you name it.
Yeah. All right, DJ and PK, everything you missed in this show, plus 2 more Jazz tickets to see the Nets Friday night. Egor Diamond coming into town, the former Cougar. We'll give those tickets away on this side of this break. Stay with us.
Whirls around and down. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone is your exclusive home of the Utah Jazz. And we want to send you to the Delta Center to see the Jazz in action. Listen every Tuesday for the Jazz Ticket Tuesday Sounder at 30 past the hour, every hour, all day long. And if you're caller number 12, you'll be on your way to an upcoming game.
Buy one, you'll get one free.
It's Jazz Ticket Tuesday, every Tuesday throughout the NBA season on your radio home for the Utah Jazz. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
DJ and PK, it's time to catch up to speed on what you missed in the first 3.5 hours of this show. Slacker Radio Headlines brought to you by Trajan Wealth. Call Trajan Wealth today, your local trusted financial fiduciary. Call them at 801-210-6800 or visit their website at TrajanWealth.com. It's a Utah Jazz Ticket Tuesday. We're giving tickets away every hour to see the Jazz and the Nets Friday night at the Delta Center. The return of Egor Diamond, who played for BYU last year. Why don't we do it right now, Yak? 801-575-ZONE. Call right now, 801-575-ZONE. Caller 12 is going to the game Friday night. Jazz tonight. What do you want to see with the Jazz and the Clippers tonight, PK?
Loss.
I thought that might be the answer. Kawhi go for 35, Harden for 35, and the Jazz get beat.
Well, I don't want them to get stomped. That's not good.
No humiliations, please.
Yeah. I want to see Ace Bailey with George out. Just come to life. Get 20-something, 25. Show them Lettercare didn't start at the All-Star game. Once AC Green started, he went out for like 107 points in the next game. I want to see Ace Bailey. I didn't get to go in the stupid.
He did not go for 107
Future
points.
Stars game, whatever the crap that is.
Yeah.
He didn't. He's not one of the best 15 rookies. Is that what it is?
That's basically what it comes down to.
So I'll show you. Let's see that. You know, we were talking with Mike Folta, who does the radio for the Mammoth, how Clayton Keller was upset he didn't play in the Nations thing last year.
Mm-hmm.
And after that, he went berserk, and he's continued that, and he got himself on the Olympic team this year. There's nothing wrong with that. A little extra motivation.
It's okay to make it up if you need it, but if you've got the real thing, all the better. I mean, we watched that with Michael Jordan in the documentary. Whatever he needed to find one more gear. He was already playing at a high level, but find one more gear.
I've used that many times in my work life. I'll show you.
Yeah. All those Olympic stories you didn't get to write that you didn't want to write?
Oh, nobody has been fired for more gigs in this town than me.
Yeah. Bring it.
You don't think so? Jazz TV, axed. Jazz radio, axed. Presentation at when they have the awards thing, axed. Hey, come on, man.
That's not fired from a gig. That's not having to work for free.
Nevertheless, they didn't want me anymore.
I know. They're not inviting you anymore.
Fired in my eyes.
Yeah, I understand.
In my eyes.
Through
that's
my
fired.
eyes. Thank you, Carl. Nice. Old school.
Yeah.
Through my eyes.
Come on, man. Bill, what do you think about Cuba?
It's always awesome to watch people do sports talk radio. See some crazy things.
So let's see. You were slighted. This is a real fact. You were slighted.
Yes, he was slighted. He is not on there. Locke has already been on his podcast saying that there's no other way to take it.
That's why Gordon Hayward, one of the reasons
snubbed.
he wanted to leave, didn't think he could get all the glory here.
Win. You'll get tons of glory.
But you're going to get it to the level of you want someplace else?
Okay. SGA's getting plenty in Oklahoma City, but okay.
Is he?
I think he is. I think people talk about the guy all the time.
That's not glory.
That's not enough. He wants more. Where's all my national endorsements that I would get if I were in L.A. or New York?
Right. Face of the league. Is anybody talking about SGA being face of the league? I would disagree with that completely. I think that's the classic example.
Who is the face of the league now?
That's still
a
LeBron.
segment. Still LeBron, huh?
Even though
not even the best player on his own team anymore.
I know.
I mean, he's in his 40s. What do you
Shouldn't
expect?
be.
I know, right? And they traded for Luka, so it's not like we can't figure it out. I was wondering if you say the Joker's the face of the league, not that he's playing right now.
No. In Denver? No.
Giannis.
You will no.
Luka. Anybody in New York? Brunson?
No.
Small guy. Nobody really buys it.
No.
I mean, he's awesome, but to a level.
The league is going through a transition period. You wonder, can a foreign-born player be the face of the league?
I've just listed a lot of foreign-born players, but not Brunson.
Are they?
But SGA's Canadian.
Yeah, close enough. Played college ball.
No.
I think if SGA was in New York, come on.
Come on. You dropped into your Jersey accent for that.
I am who I am. I've never run from my roots. I embrace my roots.
Say come on again.
Come on.
There you go. Nice.
It's the way I always say it because that's the way they say it.
I'm aware.
I always go back. When I say come on, I never say come on. I always say come on.
After missing you for 3 days yesterday, it was actually almost exactly 24 hours ago, Yock said something about Arizona that I didn't think was tough enough, so I started yelling as if I were from Jersey.
Yeah,
criticized him for his
that.
soft Southern California mentality.
You can't. No, that's not who you are, man.
Yeah, but it worked. We were missing you. We knew you'd be back. It's a matter of time.
That's my role.
It didn't come across the same way, though.
Right.
It cracked you up, though.
It can't.
It made you laugh.
Because you knew it was a parody. It was fake.
It was a parody. It was fake.
That's one of the things about you is you're fake.
Thank you. Now Yock's happy again.
I'm authentic.
It's good to have you back.
Authentic.
On my tombstone, it would say, he was authentic.
Your tombstone's going to have so much stuff on it. We're not going to be able to read any of it. I need a magnifying glass. Only guy who squeezed in 20,000 words on his tombstone.
Isn't it going to have this on it, though, also?
PK, take it off, baby.
Obviously.
But I don't want my eternal rest. I don't want to be nude at that time. That sounds creepy.
It's going to be an epitaph. It's just going to have statement after statement on it. It is. I'm telling you, 20,000 words on the tombstone.
Well, you got to answer the demand. What was the demand, Yak?
PK, take it off, baby.
That was the demand.
I look hot in leather. What can I say?
Mm-hmm. That was a singular conversation, too.
Blah, 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 blah.
Your randomness. Mike Folta was on the air, talked at length about the road trip and poolside, and you made him talk about the Speedo. That was horrible.
He's a young guy. He can get away with it.
He did. Mike, wherever you get your podcasts, hockey fans, gather around and listen to Mike Folta. And we had Mark Durrant on to talk about BYU basketball last night against Arizona. Dug a big 19-point hole. 2 of the 3 big guys shot the ball very poorly, low percentage, and they ended up losing by 1 point. But it isn't all about the shot making because it does come and go.
I think it was by 3 points.
It was 3 because they fouled and there were 2 free throws at the end. So there were mistakes made along the way that are easily fixable, and they need to fix them because here comes another ranked team. And what's their record against ranked teams right now, PK?
1-3, 0-2 in the conference. Mm-hmm. Probably not going to win the conference, but all that is irrelevant to what they do in March. And get back at it. And we saw last year they got knocked down, and then they rallied big time. And right now, people are doubting them. Are they really this super team? He brought in these 2 high-profile transfers, and Richie decides to come back for his last season. So, man, they're going to be top 5. Well, now, no. I mean, if they lose in Kansas, they're going to drop maybe to about 20th when you think about it. So they should have a chip on their shoulder. They've got 7 weeks to prove that they belong among the best. And let's see what they can do. It's a phenomenal conference, a lot of fun to be able to know, well, man, you're right back at it. Kansas on the road, well, that's a big win any way you spend. I don't care if Peterson plays or not. That's still a big win.
If I tried to pick a Final Four right now for a bracket, Arizona, UConn, and Michigan, those are 3 I would absolutely write down. UConn's only loss is to Arizona, and they've beaten BYU, they've beaten Kansas, they've beaten Illinois. They played a lot of good teams. Yeah, right, and they got that too. So they're right there. Michigan's been awesome. We'll see when we get there. I know that's the goal, but you got to win in the Sweet 16.
In my mind, UConn is the epicenter of college basketball.
They're the big dog now, with Villanova having fallen off.
And
for a while, Villanova was
8 trillion people in that area.
They have plenty of people.
You can just draw the best of the best.
And they invest in football, Arizona and UConn.
Basketball.
Excuse me, they invest in basketball because they're no good at football.
Yeah.
So
they're okay, but
they got a little better, and then they lost their coach. We'll see if they can sustain it. All right, DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Your feedback's next. Stay with us. PK, we got Jersey attitude in Pittsburgh. The Steelers hiring Mike McCarthy is getting blowback from the fans. Owner Art Rooney, who's taking the heat, fires back, quote, "None of that'll matter once we start playing games."
Oh, that's a fact.
Nice.
Well, it could matter more if you lose. Fred Williamson didn't sign off on that.
The hammer. PK bumping into an 87-year-old NFL legend at a golf course. Good work.
Yeah.
Fred the Hammer Williamson.
I should have asked him to if I could have my picture taken with him.
Oh, that would have been great. Yeah.
I didn't think of it at the time.
Raiders and Chiefs back in the day.
He was outside his house chipping golf balls.
My dad's era.
Yes. And he
talked about him. He thought that guy was awesome.
And my wife was over by his house. It wasn't just a little bit of a pull. Mm-hmm. The backyard basically was the course. And she says to him, "Oh, you're not going to watch me, are you?" And he says, "Yeah, I got to learn something."
Nice. Hey, 35 years ago today, Super Bowl. Remember this kick? Watch the referee. This is straight out of the BYU basketball game. Scott Norwood has the field goal to win, and he famously sends it wide right against the Giants. And sure enough, the referee, and it's wide by like 5 yards. Everybody knows. Look at the ref. No, it's way over there. It's way over there. Just sell it.
Scott Norwood was a neighbor of a friend of mine back in Virginia, in Clifton, Virginia.
All these brushes with greatness, man.
I never met Scott Norwood, but my friend
did,
yeah. Who lived back there. I knew him in California, and he was in the Air Force, and he had to move back because he was traveling every week. And finally, they decided, let's just move back there.
Final word, feedback from you, Jeffrey, on the BYU-Arizona game. A great rally. It's going to be a learning experience for them. Hashtag prep for March. Everybody's looking forward to the tournament. That'll do it for us. Jake and Ben are next.